Hello everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This week we are going to be speaking about Wish World and Reality War, the Doctor Who finale of Series 2 or Series 15 if you'd like to call it Series 15. And yeah, it's been a while. We haven't done one since the reality no, since Reality War, since the Interstellar Song Contest. And it's been a while since we've all been actually together as a group.
Mm.
So I don't think we've been as a proper group since probably Lucky Day. I think. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Wish World first, and then we're going to the Reality War. Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna start. I'll start with you, Jack, and then we'll go in order that you're all on the Zoom. So just give us your thoughts on Wish World and the Reality War and your scores for them.
Okay, so Wish World to me was an interesting one because it very much leaned into the One Division route. Um, and if anyone knows me, One Division is one of my favorite Marvel shows that they've put out because it's so uncanny and it's so weird and bizarre all in the right ways. And Wish World was one of those episodes where initially it was a 7.5 for me because it felt like it was obviously set up. And it had a really great cliffhanger. But the more I was watching it, the more I was really thinking about it, and I thought, oh, they done it. They did this really well. And the more I was watching it, especially with a particular moment with Poppy, where Belinda starts clocking on that is this all real, and she just looks at Poppy, and the music, the haunting music starts. I really dug that. There's some really great moments in this episode as well that I think fans would love. And I think overall it sets the story up very, very well. I will say as well that when it comes to Wish World, it very much leans into if the reality war doesn't hold up, Wish World will suffer for it. Um, and so with Wish World, I will be giving it for my overall thoughts about 8.5 out of 10. I think it's done the job very, very well. And if you know me, I freaked out when Rogue popped up. I thought that was a lovely moment. It was very much a Captain Jack Harkness in Fugitive of the Jadoon. Um, and obviously giving some exposition context, but I thought this was handled better because it was through the television screen, and I thought the context felt a little bit more justified. Now let's get on to the reality war. Hot mess, hot mess of an episode, unfortunately. And I think it's nothing to do with Russell T Davies. It's nothing to do with that because I'm sure there was things behind the scenes that were out of his control. I just thought the first half they wrapped up too quickly and it was half an hour and then all of a sudden the rest of the episode was I thought the second half was better. Um, but I could clearly tell, and I think it might be a running theme here that the episode was compromised to death because of back. But to keep on the positive notes for the time being, I went to go see this at the cinema. It was very busy at my cinema, and it was lovely to see fans there talking to them what they thought of the episode as well. And I did think, regardless of what I think about the reality, what it was a lovely cinema experience. Because there are moments here that the people were laughing at the right reasons. People were crying at the right reasons as well. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But overall, the reality war will be getting a 6 out of 10 for me. It was 5 earlier, but 6 out of 10 because I just no, actually no, 6.5 because 6.5 out of 10 because I think Shooty's regeneration scene was so powerful and emotional that it really makes you think about, how fondly his episodes were. And it makes you think back on his episodes quite fondly, and you think, oh, his tenure was actually really strong, and I wish for more. But I will also say as well, the episode I think was now. I understand why they did this, but I do think it was slightly ruined with a stunt cast, which was Billy Piper. We'll talk about that when everyone's got their thoughts out, but I'll be giving Wish World 8.5 and the Reality War a 6.5.
Yeah, that I completely agree with your points there, Jack. Thank you. James, what about you?
Hey everyone. Okay, so I'll start with my thoughts on Wish World. Can't even get my words out correctly. Um, build up wise, almost faultless. Like I felt like the story build up was great. A little bit slow at times. I liked the whole mystery behind what was going on with like the cup smashing, with Rogue appearing, basically telling John Smith to observe the tables. The tables don't do that. What's going on with the cups? Like when everyone was doubting the reality that they were in. I quite enjoyed that. I almost felt that that could have been like its own sort of plot in its own right, its own little story. I felt that that was quite strong. It was quite enjoyable to watch, and I liked seeing them being part of like a fake reality. I loved seeing Poppy and how the sort of dynamic sort of changed with Belinda and the Doctor, because obviously this is a fake reality. We kind of saw different versions of them, and that was quite interesting. I love the build up. I love the way that the two Ranis introduced themselves um, to the Doctor, how the Doctor found out and how it came to being, like sort of clicking back with the memories. The Rani having her moment, having a little dance with him, a little Strictly, that type of thing. Um, and it almost gave me Missy vibes actually seeing that. I thought that is like I felt it kind of reminded me of the scene with John Sim and Missy in season 10. Like for some reason, I don't know why, but it just it felt it was quite enjoyable to watch. I thought the reveal of the Rani's motive of bringing Omega back was very sudden. Um, if I'm being completely honest, that came out of nowhere. I kind of anticipated it, and if you guys have watched us prior, you would have heard that Omega was probably one out of two or three different predictions of characters that we thought may return. Uh, so I was over the moon when I heard that Omega was going to be coming back. I was it's a character that I've wanted to see back in Doctor Who for quite a while, and I was happy when you heard Omega's voice, almost like with the flashback, "Long live Omega," that kind of stuff, and with comrades basically narrating about Omega and Omega's history. I like that. Um, I wasn't sure how to react with the God of Dreams, Desiderium, I think the name was. I didn't really expect I thought that we would get maybe a God of Story, so I guess it's of a similar type of thing. So, um, but I like the little giggle that the baby did, and the cliffhanger was brilliant. So Wishworld, I didn't actually mind. I actually really enjoyed that episode, and it really set things up for the Reality War. And I had quite high hopes going into that. We'll talk about it more in more detail. I gave Wishworld an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid um, episode, not one of my favourites, but it was still very enjoyable. Um, Now, unfortunately, with the Reality War, I think, and as Jack touched upon, I don't think this is any of Rusty Davis's fault with what's happened, because it was quite noticeable where the reshoots were. But for me personally, there's one thing that it wouldn't have changed if Shooty did stay on, and I think that was the pacing of the episode. The first half of the episode happened way too quickly. Um, It took a long time for Omega to come back as well. Um, and then we got 5 minutes of Omega. Again, we're going to expand on this, I'm sure, a little bit later. Um, I felt like the whole plot line and like the whole threat, if that makes sense, was neutralized far too quickly, unfortunately. probably actually to an even more extent than Empire of Death was. And in relation to the reshoots, the actual scenes itself, I didn't mind personally. I thought it was quite a nice way to wrap up um, Ncuti's Doctor and having Ncuti giving his life incarnation for this Poppy, and it kind of sums up Ncuti's Doctor very well. Ncuti's quite sort of he's got like an the episode in some ways, and that was one good thing I think we could say about Disney being involved because those visuals were spectacular. But then we got Billy Piper pop up, and I think it shocked everybody because the rumor was circulating around a lot, and a lot of people thought it would be a joke, myself included. Turned out to be real, or at least as far as we know, anyway. Um, I do think that it stinks of a stunt move, a bit like what Jack said. We'll touch on it a bit more as we go along, but I gave the Reality War a 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, I think Wishworld set up the Reality War to be potentially a fantastic episode, and then circumstances that may have been beyond their control and stuff that was in their control, I think, unfortunately contributed to the episode being a little bit underwhelming. So, once again, quite a common theme. Great build up, but the resolution, not so much.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I completely get that, James. Josh, what about you? What do you think about Wish Well Done Reality War?
Okay. So, right. So, in terms of Whoosh World, I thought it was very kind of unnerving, but like in a very good way. Very Wonder Vision-esque with like an overly perfect world, but with like little flickers of doubt and little like like the there was just this really uneasy tone all the way through. I loved Archie Panjabi and Anita Dobson as the Rani. I thought they were a great double act, and I liked the use of the Pantheon in this one as well, with the God of Witches, but bit really that really resonated with me was the camp of the dispossessed, because like I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was very um truthful that that disabled people can see what's wrong with the world, because they notice things a lot more than other people would. I found that really quite impactful. And as for the big ending with the Omega reveal, that honestly got me really excited. And then we move on to the reality war, which I am split right down the middle on. There was a lot that I really liked about the episode, but there was a lot that I hated about it. I liked the first half an hour with the Rani kind of infiltrating unit and that big battle with the Bone Beasts. I thought that was amazing on a big screen. But then it kind of all fell apart when Omega showed up, which I'm sure we'll all expand on in a moment. But that was a waste of what could have been something really special. And then around the last like half an hour, 45 minutes of it, it was great, but I don't know, it was somewhat lacking. I wanted a bit more of a wrap up. It just felt a bit incomplete. And while the actual regeneration and the idea behind 15's sacrifice was beautiful, I just it just kind of um it kind of lost me when Billy Piper showed up, which again I'm sure we'll all elaborate on. But yeah, overall, I'd say for Wish World, I'd give a 7 out of 10. For the reality war, I'd give that maybe a 6 out of 10. Okay.
Thank you, Josh. That's really good. Um, yeah. So thank you. Lewa, what about you? What do you think of Wish World and Reality War?
What do I th First off, I just have to say, James, I've been envying your background every single time, and I was like, I feel like I need to jazz it up a bit. So here we go.
Your TARDIS glitching because I could have sworn I saw other TARDISes a minute ago.
Yeah,
Oh
13 was
yeah, 13. Yeah, yeah, it was compensator, but sorted out now. But what do I? It's a special session, this one, and I think that also gives reason for a TARDIS, and I invite you, gentlemen, to all choose a TARDIS, and let's TARDIS up right now.
Right, how do we do it? Because I am very, very, very keen to do this as well.
Mason, can we put a pause on the recording while we do this? Can we all TARDIS up? Right, so what you need to do is go to your video settings. So when
you go.
Oh, somehow we've all managed to get ourselves in a TARDIS as well. That's fun.
Yes, we redecorated.
It's not like this was the plan for the like you. I feel like I'm doing shooty. This was always the plan.
You liar.
Yes, this was
Um, but my honest opinions of Wishworld. Where do I start with Wishworld? I thought it was, and I'm trying to do it in a way where it's not stealing anyone else's perspective here. I thought it was mad, absolutely like it was a dynamic shift in Russell T Davis's approach to things. I liked the WandaVision homage-esqueness to it. I liked that you could see the wellspring to its inspiration. Do I feel like it tried lingering into that a little bit too much? I think it did, but it did it in a healthy way where it was like, it's WandaVision, but it's Doctor Who. And if you claim that WandaVision is a rip-off of Doctor Who, then you can't say that because they both exist in their own domain wonderfully. I loved the. Now I don't know if this has actually been confirmed, but one thing I loved was the book, the book set, the design. We all know what that's implicating its origin to be, a certain series of magical books that came out a long time ago. And I have to say, based on obviously the current societal stuff going on at the moment, I felt that if anyone was going to make a stab in the nicest way possible, because I will say obviously the author does get a lot of stabbing like to them a lot of the time nowadays. But I think if another writer's going to write about another writer, I think this was done in a very elegant way. I just have to say, like, if you're going to try and write about another person in a certain way, he did it respectably. Like, that's all I'm going to comment, I feel. And I loved the actual artwork for him. I really loved them. I think it was great. Belinda, uh, she really was. Her performance in this was very different compared, like that random moment when she freaked out and ran into the woods and just screamed. I felt like she was my spirit animal every day. Like, I feel like we all have a moment where we just want to run out to a woods and just go. "Ah!" I do find that the cinematography in that scene was quite funny. I have to admit, just her stood at the bank, just like, I was going, this show is just so chaotic right now, and I love it. Um, but all the same, I found Wishworld was a very unique episode to Doctor Who. One that really looked down the route of our own realities at certain point. Like, because I kind of thought, I was like, you can see, you can see the like what he was trying to say is that that felt kind of like the 90s in its etiquette approach at certain points. Like, it was always kind of like, you got to be on time. You can't rest around. No rest for the wicked. We work and we're basic. There was no color to the world at that point in time. And I like that obviously it was a fight for the right reality. And I like that it wasn't a political point to make. I felt it was a healthy dimensional absorption from current world affairs and presented in a wonderful way. That's all I will say. Performances, interstellar from everyone. I had nothing wrong to say with any of the performances in any of the like the Ranis were incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I felt it was gonna lead to somewhere. And now I will end off with Wishworld just saying it was a unique episode, and for that I am grateful. The reality war. I'm processing a lot of feelings towards it, and I feel like a lot of fans over the years we have, because this is the first time that an episode has ever met a problem visually displayed based on the behind the scenes aspects. And me and Jack was having a conversation about this earlier, and I feel that obviously there's been tiny problems been affecting production in the past, like Jack mentioned that there was a green screen issue in the end of series 10, I believe, with Bill, and that sort of stuff you can get away with because the fans are very, we have an ineffable love for the show. If you're a true Whovian, you'll love it no matter what, warts and all. But we forgive, but sometimes we definitely don't forget. And I feel that one thing we definitely didn't forget was back before season 1 had finished, we got confirmation that series 3 was coming along. And I just see this ending sad as a sad tragedy. I don't have any negativity for anything behind it. I just think that it's a real big shame that the show was building up such momentum, and it breaks my heart that once again we're having to go clean the table, start again. We've lost not only Ncuti Gatwa, we've lost everyone in that main cluster of storyline now, and that it is heartbreaking. Like, not just Ruby and Belinda, all of their family members. And this is the thing, is kind of like we've just been spent the last 8 weeks and the 8 weeks before that getting to know these people, and we've now just been left with a void. And don't get me wrong, you can definitely stuff a void and make it full of wonders with Billie Piper. I mean, that's been proven time and time again in the past. She has conquered the void before. And I think that, the fact that we've been given a void and given Billie Piper that was wonderful. Storyline, though, I think Omega, as great as it was, because like you can see the visual design and how it was done, and it was very they did it in such a beautiful way of like, this is the Bone Palace, but wait until you see who's actually going to be the king of it. And I was kind of like, I can see why that design met Omega, but I just kind of hope that that is an Omega of fantasy, not the real one. I hope that the real one that we met in the Three Doctors and the Arc of Infinity is still in the antimatter reefs somewhere. Like I feel that the antimatter reefs and the under universe are very different places in their own way, and I hope that they stay separate. The Rani's demise, look, she is a tasty snack, but was not intended for that reality. That's all I'm saying. Like, we just got her. We just got her. And she looked wonderful. She had the syringe, Sonic. Josh is upset. I'm upset. We're all in TARDISes. We're all upset. But I think ultimately in the end of it, this is another stamp in Doctor Who's history now that we are going to really appreciate whatever future we get. I think that's safe to say, because I think whatever, and I don't really want to chime in on the politics of what's really been going on behind the scenes. We've all speculated in our own ways, but officially there's not been anything. But I will say a performer has left the show, and in doing so, it jeopardized the end of the series. Without any context or with context, that is the reality. If it was his choice, if it was officials, I don't know. I don't want to comment. I wish him all the best in his future. I really do. A massive thank you as well for everything. But the ending, the story itself ended with, and I mentioned this before, I found it was very specific that the actual, when the Doctor lashes himself to the TARDIS to shift reality, right? They added a certain effect which I felt was very, very specific.
Glass
It
shattering.
was, yeah, the glass shattering. And I have to say, right, because no matter what you look at it, we had series 1 to 3 already written and intended for Shooty. And the fact that he has decided to leave, it has shattered the storyline. So I think in that way, I don't know if that was an actual intended addition into it, going like, this is the shattered dynasty here to Shooty Gatwa's story. I felt my hopes were shattered at the end of that like episode. I was like, this, I don't know how to feel, man. I really, really don't. This is the first time we've had a proper departure midway through the arc, and it's heartbreaking to see. As beautiful as his tenure was, I just feel a little bit desaturated now at the end of it. And I will give Shooty the ultimate respect still. And I also will give him the cherry on top of respect with the fact that he is the Doctor that learned how to love himself. He is the Doctor that learned how to love companions and actually communicate that with them. And I know that the BBC have seen the video before, because they released a video the day after going, there's more than one way to say I love you. And yeah, there is, and the Doctor has communicated that many a time in the past. But actually to look at Companion and go, I love you, we've never had. And this was a first to him and Belinda and Poppy, because he has, he was prepared to be a dad figure. He was taking that on. He'd just seen Jodie, and after the fact that Jodie was so awkward and, in her own way, wasn't able to communicate love, it was almost like a bootstrap paradox to Jodie going, when you go back, you will eventually learn how to love yourself. And I am that reason. Get back there. You are going to learn how to love yourself one day. And it without Jodie being there, he wouldn't. I don't think he would have said to Belinda, "I love you." And I felt that that was absolute, like, despite the messiness and the politics of whatever's gone on behind back doors of Bad Wolf, I can only wish that the problem has ceased now and everything's back on a healthy, well-oiled machine. But I loved that was the ending. Either way to what the original ending was, the fact that we had that beautiful moment was just wonderful writing and character growth. Um, And I will say, I know it's a very Marmite notion to go on, but Billy being at the end, I mean, I yelped like a 5-year-old, um, and I did yelp, and I'm still processing a lot of these feelings right now. But all I can say is, welcome back, Billy Piper, and what? I love it, but what? And for that, I am going to give. I'm excited for the future. Whatever I am going to give for the ratings, Wish World, I will wish it a very merry 8.5. With the reality war, 5, simply put. And that is only down to the point that 50% was scrapped. So for that, I can only give a 50% rate.
Yeah, that's
That is all I
that's
can say.
thank you, Laura. I'm
Uh,
I'm gonna give my thoughts on Wishworld and Reality War as well. So obviously, most of you know that I did not watch Wishworld when it aired, like the week prior. So I actually watched it at the cinema. I only ever watched the first 5 minutes, um, until we got to the intro. So I went to the cinema not knowing really what happened, and I enjoyed it. Like I went there not knowing anything. So I really enjoyed Wish World. I was a bit confused about things that were going on because it was a bit weird, but I enjoyed that. And then as it went on, bits with the Rani were brilliant. I felt like their connection was really nice. I feel like the Rani was probably the best part of the episode. And then when they mentioned Omega's return, I got really excited and I was really happy. And then I felt the cliffhanger was so good with the Rani, like the Doctor shouting the Rani. Um, yeah, and I loved it. So I gave 8 out of 10 for Wishworld. So I did really like it. It's not my favourite of the series, but it's a solid episode. A bit like the in the same vein as the Legend of Ruby Sunday. But I did probably like Legend of Ruby Sunday more than Wishworld, but they're in the same boat of a good start point to the finale of Series 1 and Series 2. Um, so I went with friends as well to cinema, and I said to them, "Really good start. It was really good." And we all enjoyed it. But I did say before Reality War ended, no, Wish World ended. I did say I was fully expecting to actually see Omega at the end of Wish World. That's what I thought because you could hear his voice at the end of Wish World. So I thought you're either going to see Omega at the end of Wish World or right at the start of Reality War. So then I went into Reality War saying, surely we're gonna see Omega straight away. That was the whole point. Um, and then and then we didn't. So for Reality War, I'm mixed on it. Right? I would love seeing it at the cinema. Like that, if I didn't have to see it at the cinema, my rating would probably be even lower than it is. And I think that the cinema viewing actually helps with that. I've watched it 3 times. Well, I watched it because I went with friends, so my parents hadn't seen it. So I met them at the pub after with my friends, and I was like, I got out of cinema and I was like, oh, I can't tell you what's happened. I want to tell you. I mean, but I can't. So we went home and watched it, and we went home and watched it and watched. It was like a watched it all again. Watched Wish Rod again. Watched Reality War again, and then it was really confusing. It was really confusing because stuff was brought back from long time ago. So like Joy to the World, it's almost like this. Everything is connected, even the Christmas specials. Um, so we watched that again, and I I thought actually the first 20 minutes were good of Reality War, and I liked Anita's appearance. I liked Miss Flood. I like the Rani. I feel like if the Rani's not there, Reality War's not as good. But the problem I have is with Reality War that it feels like 2 stories. So we have it all the monsters are wrapped up in like 30 or 34 minutes. And then after that, we have this whole Poppy thing. And I know we got Poppy the dream state in Wish World, but I thought that was just going to be kept a dream. I didn't actually think the whole plot line was going to be, hang on a minute, we've got to make this real. Um, and I do think it would have been better with Ruby. Um, I personally think it would have been better not to have Belinda at all as a companion and have Ruby there for the second series, which makes a lot more sense with this Poppy storyline than memories saying memories of bringing Poppy there. And I know something I find really annoying about the episode actually is that they say at the end that every episode Belinda was like, "Take me home to Poppy," at 7 o'clock in the morning or something, and we never saw that. And it's something like the TARDIS bit as well, where Belinda says at the start of Robot Revolution, it's almost like they've implemented things that we don't see. So I got really annoyed about that. I also didn't like the way the Rani was just flirting with Conrad at one stage. I mean, I just thought that was weird. And then Kate saying it, everyone's there. That she said, "We're all your children, Doctor." And I thought that's a bit weird. I mean, but all in all, I just felt like the whole kind of concept of the episode was up and down for me. It started really well, but then when Omega turns up, it goes to pot in the second half. But I did think it was up and down. So it started well, then went down a bit, then up a bit, down a bit. So it was a mess, but it was all over the place. But I did like the regeneration, but it's funny because before I went in, I said to my friends, Billy Piper's going to appear at the end. You watch, and I was joking, right? I saw it. I saw the leaks beforehand, and I was like, it was a joke. I thought it was a joke. I didn't think that was going to happen, and it did. And I was like, in my cinema. I mean, it's quite like the Doctor Who posted their reaction at the cinema, but my reaction at the cinema was nowhere near like that. Everyone was laughing. Even I was laughing. So we was all laughing in the cinema, thinking, what have I just seen? I mean, I still can't believe it. Every day since, right, going to the cinema and watching Reality War, I still can't believe what I saw. And I just feel right now we're not. It's almost like the whole shoot get up era has been like gone. It's almost like that's never happened because I feel like we're back exactly where we were in the 60th anniversary when David Tennant was the Doctor. I feel like I don't know. I feel like you. It's like what Lewis said. Like we've completed this Doctor mid arc. I found it really weird that if the Doctor's going to regenerate, why mention about the boss? That is an arc that probably was going to be for Shooty's Doctor in Series 3. So the boss was probably going to be whoever the boss is that has been going on since the Star Beast. And we probably all thought it might be Omega or the Rani. It's none of them. So whoever the boss is will be a Series 3 thing. But I don't know. I just don't like when arcs aren't complete with a Doctor. Yeah. Lower, you had your hand up.
Yeah, darling, sorry, it was just one interjection on that point. I actually, you got me thinking then on that one. It might have been a Passover piece, to be fair, because I think it's a new thing that he started doing for doctors. I don't think he used to do it back in 2005, but with David Tennant, we got a few things which carried over to Shooty, like Triad, Susan Twist. We got those things. So I think he's doing like a Passover shift to the Doctors as well now, which I quite like. I just thought that was quite
Yeah.
nice cases. But sorry, Lucy, carry on, darling.
Yeah. So I think overall I give Reality War a 6. It was actually higher on first viewing. It was about a 7. But then I looked at it about last year's finale, and I thought, no, Empire of Death is much better overall. It's a better story. You actually have Sutek. I know we all moan about the design of Sutek, but you actually have him for like a whole episode, virtually a whole episode, and we had got Omega for what was it? A few. I only said about 2 lines. It's like you blink and you miss it. And I actually got told, right, because I'm meeting Susan, granddaughter Susan next week. I'm going to be meeting her, and I got told because on the description it was like the last appearance she appeared in was Wish World, and I said, what? So apparently she had a blink and you miss it moment in Wish World, and I don't remember that. So apparently I don't know.
TV before Rogue pops up.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. So her last appearance is Wish World, not the Interstellar Song Contest. Yeah. Um, but I feel really sorry for that though, because I feel like if things didn't happen the way they did, Susan would have probably appeared in Reality War if Shooty didn't regenerate. So I'm a bit sad about that because this whole arc, this whole like 2 years with Shooty Gatwa, it's been Susan's always been mentioned and she only got a little snippet. So I was a bit sad about that.
Could I add something to everyone? And I really want to understand like people's perspective on this. So, Lewa, you and I, we've been talking about this for a little while about when you are the doctor, it's not just a role, it is a full-time job. Don't know why you give me that look. But um, it's not just a job, it's a full-time job. Do you think now this is now if the man himself is watching this and thinking, oh, what to what we were going to get? Like, yes, Jim.
Mm,
I am going to say something, and sort of linking to that actually, and it might help to answer the question. Um, because there's one thing that well, I can't speak for every Doctor Who fan, but it's one thing that I was quite hopeful would happen years ago, and I feel like we kind of did get it with Shooty, when that was the fact that because for a while in Doctor Who we had quite a lot of actors who played the Doctor who maybe perhaps weren't particularly too well known for the show, like for instance like Matt Smith. Um,
yeah.
that is an example of stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of people, and myself included, I was guilty of this, was thinking, God, how good would it be to have a doctor who is like a really well known, like almost like a Hollywood like category actor, someone massive, like say for like a Tom Holland or something like that. Shooty Gatwell was already quite big before Doctor Who with Sex
Yeah,
Education
right.
and everything like that. Do you think that maybe perhaps that this is probably a downside of having an actor that's too
No,
big in that sense?
it's a learning
Mm,
lesson.
Yeah.
James, it's a learning lesson. Me and Jack was going about this earlier. I
yeah.
couldn't agree more with the things because this is the thing. It's a good notion to go with, because it's the thing of like, say, there's a really big flux of arguments about like what future dynamics of doctors there should be, right?
Mm.
And I just kind of think keep it risky, still keep it risky because obviously we wouldn't get
Yeah.
like a range. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the range does need to boot in its strap up a bit. In I feel like this is a thing that every now we will get this as a deadlock to casting. I feel like they will just go every doctor has to be a die-hard Whovian, essentially. I feel
Yeah.
because it's
No.
reached the point where look, as a performer, right, in the basis of like all my training and etiquette stuff that I've had, right, it makes a census of when you take a role, depending on the role, if you have to leave for whatever reason, it's amicable. It's always an amicable choice. If you have to leave, you have to leave. It's on your own dues. But when you choose a role which is an actual British icon, there's a different conversation at play, right? Because you are becoming an inspiration. You're also really like the royal family loves the show. It's a huge, huge stamp. It's like Mr. Bean. It's these things which are,
Yeah.
it's woven into British culture. And to do so, the actors the performers who play this role have to understand that what they are taking up, what was the old John Hurt quote? Good men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. And in that sense, the doctor is, that idea. And it's the performers who are the lesser men who make that real in that census, if you know what I mean. I'm not trying to say that the performers are lesser people, but what I'm saying is you have to, if you are making a dynasty to a doctor, you need to meet your lifeline. And the lifeline that was cast out was intended for him for series 1 to 3. And when he, every doctor has
Mm.
their expected lifeline. So like Eccleston, I think, had series 1 to 2 intended for him, but he left at the most respectable time before production even went into basis. So they could act fast, they could act while the iron was hot.
Mm.
He still did his damage. He still did. Because people, once again, there's this argument of, why did Christopher Eccleston leave? And people still don't know the real answers to this day. It's still large speculations and stuff, and I don't think we're ever going to get the real reason. But David
Mm.
Tennant, he met his whole lifeline in episodic expectation, and he surpassed his. Matt Smith did, Peter Capaldi did, Jodie Whittaker did even, and this thing, right? And I gave a good example to Jack earlier. This Shooty leaving here is the equivalent of David Tennant leaving at the end of Series 3, The Last of the Time Lords. And then we never got Series 4 with like the Stolen Earth and everything coming together. So now let me ask you, and this is the thing of like why the show is always surpassed with our love for it. Like no matter what warts and all they give, we still love it. But we can forgive everything that's happened, but we're never going to forget that this has happened. And the showrunners, I feel, definitely won't either. So it's just going to be a thing of like now they need to make sure that who they're bringing on, whether or not there is an interval in decision making, they need to be there for the long haul. Because
Yes.
if they're not, this is going to be a recurring problem, and
Yeah.
the show will suffer.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need an actor who, regardless of deals and regardless of what's going on behind the scenes, that they're prepared to wait. I just want to. I understand you want to do other things, but there is a way you can still be the doctor
Mm.
and do those things and then come back, because I presume. I know we don't know anything yet, but I presume Doctor Who ain't gonna be. We're probably not gonna get another series till at least 2027. And I
Yeah.
know, and I know we're
Mm.
getting the War Between Land of the Sea. We get that this year. I would much prefer. And I know there's people out there who would prefer it next year because of the probably no Doctor Who next year. But the reasoning for that is, I feel like once that airs, we'll we're more likely to get an announcement on Doctor Who's future after it than rather than
Mm.
before it.
Mm.
So if we get it this year, because they say soon, they keep saying soonish, soonish, soon, whatever that
I
is.
hate that. Just
Well, to be fair, I think there was another point that me and Jack came across the other night, and it was I think we might get a Children in Need minisode,
Yeah,
and that
that'd be nice.
hopefully that will, because you remember when Christopher Eccleston changed to David Tennant,
Yeah.
everyone was like, "What? What? You've chosen David Tennant?" We're like, come on, no. And like they needed to give a little bit of a scoop before the Christmas invasion because people needed answers as soon as possible back in 2005. So what they did was they gave us that little deleted scene from the Christmas invasion, which was her going like it's the extended scene, wasn't it? Going, "Who
Yeah.
are you? Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the doctor. It's me." So I think we're gonna
Yeah.
get a compensatory scene like that again.
I
Like,
hope
mm,
so. That'd be nice.
You need that now. Yeah.
yeah.
if not, get
They
cracking.
Can I add something to
Yeah.
this as well? So, comparing back to that children in needs, like little skit, I should also just add in as well. It's almost like I wouldn't say it's similar to what Christopher Eccleston went through to what Gatwa went through. Obviously, it's very different. People will say, "Oh, it's like a Christopher Eccleston Sorry, I was about to say Billy Piper, and then she all of a sudden stopped the recording. Damn you, Piper.
The bad wolf descended
Bad
upon
wolf.
us for a
And I,
spell.
and I was about to say, like, even though
Piper! Sorry.
Ah!
TARDIS keeps put me in and out.
Regardless on how, us diehard fans will feel about Piper returning, and I know it's not overly positive, but lest we forget, the casual viewers are dead excited again because Piper's back. So
Mm,
this is a second chance for Russell to be like, okay, we've got Piper, great. I wasn't expecting the positive reaction from everybody. That's great as well.
mm.
Shit, now I have to create a really good story because once I do that, I can then look for a 16th Doctor,
Yeah.
um,
Mm.
which I think personally should be traditional again, just so then you can get the fan base and the show in a healthy state again, so then you can do those
Yeah,
casting decisions
It
again.
needs, like the TARDIS, it needs to go into siege mode for a little small period, I feel.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think as well with the show, it thrives on controversial, it thrives on wokeness, regardless on what people say, and it thrives on being a shocking factor. So having
yeah,
13th Doctor being announced was a huge shock to everybody, which was amazing. And then having Billy Piper again, huge shock to everybody, and having David Tennant again maybe not the hugest shock because it wasn't on telly, it was more on a social media announcement. But again, huge shock to everybody. So I think if they're going to go down the route of having some nostalgia specials to then lean into the brand new change, like who did anyone after the giggle, because then we had Shooty Gatwa, David Tennant, did anyone watch that trailer for the Church of Ruby Road? And it starts off with the Doctor dancing in a nightclub where
Yes.
help. Did anyone else think,
mm.
oh my God, this is new?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
I like
I
that.
thought it was very risky. Yeah.
it's a
Uh,
risky
Mm.
move, and it worked because it got the numbers. I've been doing my research for the video. It got about 7.5 million views in its 28-day consolidated.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he did
See, the
well.
thing is, he was not just a risky doctor, he was the risque doctor. He
Uh,
was so he
And he
was.
brought joy to the world.
I
Mm.
think it has revolutionized the role. Definitely.
I,
Um, mm,
It's okay, I'm coming. Oh, it's all right. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Sorry, I'm literally just quickly answering the door quickly. Sorry.
Okay, no
I
worries.
was
Okay,
just,
I can still hear you. Proceed.
yes, sir. I was just going to quickly add something on to what Jack said a second ago. Um, because we were saying about Billy Piper coming back, might be a good thing for the casual viewer. Um, and I think Russell Davis has probably kind of got away with this one because of the fact that we kind of did this with David Tennant like just a couple of years ago. I feel like that was part of the motive towards that as well. But I think that for at least the next few episodes or the next series, I think there is one thing that needs to happen, which is absolutely essential, um, and that is, I think that the lore of the show needs to breathe a bit now. I think that
Mm.
there's been a lot of sort of like change in the lore of the show, and a lot of things which only really diehard Doctor Who fans would kind of understand that's going on. Like I've had my mum phoning me after every episode, basically getting me
Mhm.
to explain some of the things going on. I think if they are going down the route now with Billy Piper for to sort of re-attract some more casual viewers, I think they need to sort of go back to a more simpler format
Yeah,
where they have almost like not neglecting like the
yeah,
Mossad or anything like that completely. You're still going to have like the Daleks and stuff like that, where what people watch Doctor Who for. But like I said earlier, I think the lore of the show needs to breathe, and they maybe need to return
mm.
back to almost like a Monster of the Week type format. I think they need to
Yeah,
start if they want to appeal to the casual viewer again. They've got to stop making it difficult for the casual viewer to understand.
yeah. I think and I've seen a lot of people point this out. I think one of the issues was this was billed as a fresh start, as like a rejig, but these past two series have relied on a lot of knowledge from the past. Because yes, you have things like space babies and the shoulder and what's another good example of an um of an original monster? Oh yeah, the Bogeyman. Yes, you have stuff that's unique, but you also have stuff like Sutek, um Durrani, Omega, the toy maker. A lot of very neat stuff that 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 a casual audience isn't going to be privy to. Um, obviously, we all love it, but like you, but like you, but like your casual audience will be really confused.
I
Yeah, that's what I think.
I definitely think as well. What one thing that didn't help is that I do think on the one hand that maybe perhaps they overused a few past characters a little bit too much. I think maybe they brought back just a little bit
Mm,
too many, in such a short space of time.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
thing is, what the first stint of Russell T Davies series proved is that you can bring back a past returning character, but as long as you give the audience enough time to get to know them, then that's great. That's fine. It's like I'll give you an example with the Master in Series 3.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
you know, it was a character, it was a past character from the classic series back then. We hadn't seen him ever since, but you got like 3 episodes to get to know this character, and then before returning again in the specials. So all the casual audience by the end of that series were very familiar with who he was. Whereas in this era, we've had a lot less episodes, um, often a lot more rushed episodes, and very little time for the audience to understand these characters. I mean, like I said, I'm going to use my mum as an example again, um, because she's gotten into Doctor Who a lot over the years. She's phoned me up like, it's like, who's this Omega character? Like, what's going on with Omega? And it's like, oh, he only lasted about 5 minutes in the end. They've got it. If they want to appeal to the casual audience, then they've got to start giving them a chance to get into the show and sort of get familiar with it. I feel like they've not really appealed to them very much.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Mm,
I agree because I think they keep this like as this is supposed to be a new era. Well, it feels like it's not a new era anymore. I think it's all gone
mm.
now. But well, originally it's supposed to be a new era. So, but the first episode in the new era supposedly is a well, all the 60th anniversary specials, except from Wild Blue Yonder, where they're bringing back the Star Beast, like from a previous comic, which was okay. And then you're bringing back the Toy Maker. And then from even in Space Babies, you've got the Doctor mentioning the Rani, Gods of Ragnarok. So he's mentioning all these things, and
Yeah.
and and the it's okay. That is okay, but the problem is that they've separated Series 1 and Series 2 from the original series. So obviously on iPlayer you've got that to that, and then it's kind of you're starting new. So if Disney are out, are we starting again from Series 1 or Series 2?
I just add,
Mm,
I would say there is a difference with 60th and with the season one going forward. So just a little bit of history. The 60th whilst part of the plan and part of the deal, um, they were actually less involved in the 60th. That was thoroughly Bad Wolf and BBC when it comes to the 60th. Even Russell T Davies even stated they get even more involved when it comes to season one onwards. So when it comes to the back catalogue of people coming back, I think it was appropriate because it is the 60th. And I think, to be honest, considering that they didn't really bring back an old face, I think the
Yeah.
toy maker and Beat the Meat, they are so out of tune to what casual and diehard fans would be like. I think it becomes a introduction to everyone. Season one going forward, I think was a lot more accessible, and I think the true beginning was the Church on Ruby Road because they're on Disney Plus everywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
The Church on Ruby Road is actually episode one in season one.
But
I agree.
I just want to say, on Disney Plus though, it gets really weird. They call Church of Road Special 4 on it. So you obviously got the three specials: Special 1, Special 2, Special 3, and then they just call Church of Road Special 4.
Actually, I've got
Yeah.
when I went to Cos with my partner, I was fascinated in the whole Disney deal stuff. So I thought, right, I'm gonna go on to Disney Plus and see it. There it is. There's
Oh, your phone's glitching.
there you go. Here
Oh
it is.
yeah.
Disney Plus. And you are right, it is special four. But there was a time apparently, so there you go. There
Hmm.
was a time where people were screenshotting it. Special Four made its way as just episode one in season one, and I just couldn't help but think, why couldn't we have just had Church on Ruby Road as just episode one
Yeah.
domestically? Because then Space Babies wouldn't be as much of a gut punch as an episode one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will add to the point though, going back about using old characters and that point with the master, right? Because obviously we had Utopia, then we had The Sound of Drums, then Last of the Time Lords, right? We did actually still get that treatment with the Rani. She got the Interstellar Song Contest, so she appeared at the end, and
Yes.
we had
Yeah.
that, and that ended on the same kind of. It was a mid-credit cliffhanger, but the Master had that as well. And I know obviously we got a bit more of a calamity with the Master, but we now know that what the Rani is like is she is very much like I don't really want to be seen by the Doctor, so I'm gonna wait for the right. She was more meticulous and she was more like a spider compared to the master. The master just kicks down the door and just goes, and that's it, kind of. And I feel like so Utopia, end of that was the him going, use my name, and then he goes the master, and he goes tough, and he leaves, right? Similar
Mm.
thing to the Ranis by generating something big happened, and we've now got that. Wish World would have been the sound of drums, so control over the earth, their influence above it. I do feel the Rani was a bit more minimal compared to the Master's influence of the
Hmm.
planetary control.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, she was more meticulous, and that I think it was respected more in that dynamic of the Time Lords. So this is the thing, like Omega didn't get the same treatment. Like I think what they did very wrong, right, was not give us a Tales of the TARDIS in between Wishworld and the Reality War. I think, but you can
Yeah.
see why they didn't do it because obviously Omega was such a silhouette of what he was. So it's the problem now of obviously they didn't see any worth in making a Tales of the TARDIS. So surely in that they should have seen, is it worth making this Omega? Can we not just make him like a forgotten Time Lord God? Like, does it need to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Omega? Can it be
I,
the God of Time? Please, just something like that.
Do you know what
Not.
do you know what I'm really frustrated with as well?
Hmm,
It is an iPlayer thing as well. I'm really frustrated over this because as a filmmaker, I live and breathe watching these stuff. I
yeah.
think a lot of people are going to know what I'm about to say. where the hell has the, not just for this season, but where the hell has the last season visual commentaries gone?
That's what
Yeah.
that's
Mm.
what I thought.
One
Hmm.
remaining, and they are, and I had a look, it said like 21 days left. So I'm thinking, so if this one goes, is it a lost media now? Like, that is so unfair for people that want to watch those.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a shame
That is, yeah.
because they were a lot of fun. Because like, not only do you get a good commentary, you get to see them watching it. It was always very fascinating. So yeah.
It's just a huge shame because they were gone, and I'm just like, well, my favorite one was the Church on Ruby Road, and if that,
Mm,
then I'm sorry, but you're just wasting actors and writers and producers' time just watching and sitting there. Basically, you're giving them lunch break and recording it. And
Mm.
I just think that it's such a huge shame that we aren't, as the viewers, able to watch this, and it's not even in the bloody Blu-rays.
Well, I think
yeah.
season two it suffered enough in that way. I think if obviously we know that it's had its issues. I think if they that might be why they've held back a lot of media compared because like it makes sense now. If like this was a part of the conversation that we had before, mate, is you know I I don't even want this to become like this was a mild mannered theory of mine, and this was the Interstellar, no, the Eurovision of obviously I feel that Bad Wolf told him to leave it, like not do it, because if they knew he wasn't going to be the Doctor carrying on, then that immersiveness with the Eurovision and the Interstellar Song Contest has lost its worth. Do you know what I mean? Because then fans see that his activity has still been recent in the years. So at that point, he knew he wasn't playing the Doctor anymore. He knew he
Yes,
wasn't playing the Doctor anymore. And I think that's why.
that would make
Because
sense now. Yeah.
Bad
Yeah.
Wolf going, well, you're not the Doctor anymore. Fans are going to notice this and think that that is a dying star of an opportunity. So I think it would be more appropriate that you don't attend the Eurovision this year. Sorry. And that
Mm.
it just screams, obviously there's been other theories as to why. And if it is the other theories as to why, then fair dues. But I just kind of sit there and think to myself, like where if in productions in the past that I've been a part of, right? If anyone has let down the production team in any way, it has been made aware in some shape or form, and there are visually obvious things as to show that they've been removed from that because of a reason, and that,
Mm.
it starts to click together a little bit as to why they rolled out the Barbie doll so quick, why they got all that stuff out as quick as they could because they knew his final day was coming, and it just cheapens it a little bit, I think, and that's why it's that everyone's saying that Disney products now have just got this plastic finish of it. Doctor Who was once gold and diamond, but now at the end of that, I feel like I've just been given a lump of fool's gold, and I'm just a bit like uh,
Yeah.
I'm doing everything I can to support the show in any shape or form, but this
Uh,
is
it's the first time as well that because we weren't told that it was going to be a regeneration episode as well.
yeah.
I
Yeah, exactly.
first time where I actually emotionally felt like maybe this isn't the right word, but screw it, I'm going to use it. Where it felt like I was robbed. I was robbed for something that was going to be potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're right as well. There was a leak going around as well that he was going to stay for 3 and 4. So it would have been the first Doctor in the history of New Who for a Doctor to stay on for more than 3 seasons.
Well, it's not even the fact that it was a
I think all three of them had Damn you, Disney. Um,
Thank
uh,
God.
I can clearly tell that I think the pot was boiling, and you could just tell until something had to be done about it. So I do think Shooty leaving probably wouldn't have been an easy choice for him. He would have had to think it through with his agent saying, "Look, I really want to do season 3 and 4. Bloody Disney and BBC, they have, they've been keeping me in the dark a little bit. Like, what do I do?" And they would just be like, "Well, you need to earn money. You got a house to pay for. You got food on the table that you need to pay for as well. You need a job." And
Mm.
though the one thing I will have to say now, Russell, I love you. You're amazing, great writer. Um, I am concerned for you though going forward because um regardless about how people feel about season 1, it was still controversial, and um that was without any compromises as well. So regardless if there was compromises or not, it would have been a controversial run, because I do think that if Reality War didn't have its reshoots, I think we would have had an Empire of Death Part 2. Um, and I do think with Russell, if he can nail it with the whole Billy Piper thing and has an idea, but just needs time just to think about it,
Yeah.
I will give him that time.
Yeah.
But you have put us in what really upsets me this week is that I've been on the phone to Lewa quite a bit about it. Just basically saying I'm just worried because he has given us a reveal that's overall confusing because they didn't credit Billy Piper as the Doctor. Disney deal hasn't been renewed. BBC hasn't announced about season 3 yet. We don't even know if it's even coming out in 2027. The only thing that we know is, unfortunately, the war between the land and the sea has been massively overshadowed. I would have been more
Yeah.
excited knowing if season
Mm.
3.
I do think that it was the wrong time to actually release a teaser for the war between the land and the sea, straight after the
Yeah.
episode, because I felt I'm all for seeing it. I think it looks really good actually. Um, but I don't think I didn't as soon as I saw the episode, I wasn't even concentrating on it. My mind was on what I just saw.
I don't really
Um,
cared at that point. Yeah.
yeah, and going on what Jack said about Russell, something that really concerns me as a viewer, as a fan, is that before the series, Russell T Davies got asked what was the best episodes of the series. He said the finale. He said the finale was the best, and he said, "Well, finale's got to be the best because they're the most exciting, aren't they?" So it concerns me because he thinks it himself, and there are parts of it that are nice about it, but it's just worrying that he does actually think it's the best of the series.
When did he say that? Just out of
Well,
curiosity.
it's
I
not.
know he did. I know he did. But do you remember when about? Do you remember
Um,
if it was near a certain episode or was it in between series 1 and series 2?
I think it was more nearer the time of just like before this series.
Yeah, see now that makes sense because do you know when he had to cast Billy Piper?
Um, wasn't it like April time?
It was around the time of the robot revolution,
Yeah,
right? So if you have it in mind that he got the final confirmation that Shooty was going around the time of robot revolution, any interview before series 2 had started, he would be telling the honest truth. Like
yeah.
I honestly believe that if Shooty didn't leave, right, and it had finished the original way, we would not be in this conundrum, right? I think
Mm.
it would like don't get me wrong, some fans may not have liked the end of series two's original conceived ending, but here's the thing, we're never gonna see it. And this is the thing of Doctor Who has over the years been doused a lot in compensatory writing to
Yeah.
for the quakes and the for the quakes that it's had and the ill days and the other behind the scenes dramas, which don't get me wrong, not a lot of shows give to the fandom. A lot of shows go, it's either our way or no way.
Yeah.
And so the fact that the show listens to the fandom in such a large variety is actually a beautiful thing. But in my personal opinion, when it comes to creativity, right, if you're not proud on a product, don't ship it,
Yeah.
right? And I personally just kind of sit there and think to myself, you can't have that perspective, obviously, if someone jumps the gun and jumps, and goes, right? If they go, I'm gone, sorry, that well, for whatever reason, once again, RIP 15, you were brilliant, we love you and wish you all the best. But in the whole quake of it, they couldn't release the original episode because he has left. It's like if we ended on the club scene with them lot, show Susan, and then the next series is another doctor, and it's like that doesn't make sense. What happened to 15? So he cut no matter what reality he chooses now, whatever final product we get is not the original product, was not the original one that they was proud about. It was not. This is where it's got that plastic filter of like, rewrites with this has had to change. We're sorry, we're putting the plasters on, trying as hard as we can to make this work and actually keep this going. And I can, once again, every move that RTD has made since this conjecture has, in my opinion, been the correct moves, actually. And I think that he has done this with a finite flourish. Because if we had ended the way that it ended, like, so say, joy to the world! And then he, like, he starts regenerating and then it just blackout, right? Would have been effective. I felt that actually would, like, when we got the ending, I kind of felt I would have just preferred a blackout. I think that would have been better. I think that would have been better. But, right, now that I look back and I go that 50% of that episode was rewritten, and it's got that sheen over it of this is not real once again. And I think it was quite appropriate that he left on an episode called The Reality War, and you can really play with how the reality of that episode plays through. I think that was the best point he could have left on. If he had left at the Empire of Death and then went, well, production wise, better if he left it the Empire of Death. But it's the fact that you're playing with an episode which is fully about meta. He could really work it into a good narrative to any shape and design he could.
Yeah.
So with that, I find the fact that he obviously at the end of Robot Revolution found out that Shooty was leaving, so he's gone, right, we have to get quick. We need to move fast. We need to get your activate contingency plan 3. He's leaving. I need to make a call. I need to make a call. I'll be 5-10 minutes. Comes back with Billy Piper. Let's go. Let's record. Now, and I heard, I think it was Confused Adipose said this. Russell T Davies works best when he is scared, right? And when I heard that, I went, "Ooh, bit cheeky of a remark, but okay, I'd like to see
That.
this." So it's the fact that he gave us Billy Piper. He gave us Billy Piper not as a desperate means as, compensation. And I know a lot of people are seeing it like that, but obviously the reality war did take a drastic turn in a bad direction in any shape or form. He couldn't have been 100% proud of it because it's not the original intended final product, and it's gone through the works a bit. So how do you really keep the fandom attracted carrying on? How do you add that 100% guarantee of, oh yeah, I've got to find out what's going on here? Because if it ended on the blackout for Shooty, I think a lot of people might just go, right, well, that's a good place to never watch Doctor Who again.
That's a good.
That's a very good point.
I'm so sorry to say that, but a lot of people might just go, no, bye. Sorry. Billy Piper there, though.
Yeah, I think if it did end that way, and I've seen it as well, a lot of people say that it would be better. I think it ended that way, we'd be here saying, oh, it's probably that's like hiatus then, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
but what he wanted to do is get something for us to talk about, like we're talking about Billy Piper, like
exactly.
like
And
like,
Yeah.
like you're saying.
ring
And
the bad wolf bell.
I think this is a good decision, but I know we say it's a stunt move, but it's a good decision because a lot of people the last years of Doctor Who haven't been as good as we may have hoped. These like
Mm.
last two eras, let's say, and I like both Doctors, but it's not all their fault. But I feel like bringing Billy Piper could be a good thing for Russell, for a short stint. But if it's for a 20th anniversary of New Who, if it's to celebrate that, or if it's something more than that, we have to. It has time now to actually rethink what he's going to do. Try and make it. I really hope. Try and make it as good as RTT one. Like that concept. It's not going to be exactly the same, but the concept of what it was, like just Monster of the Week, like James was saying, Monster of the
Oh,
Week.
you know what? Do you know what, Mason? I'm so sorry to interrupt you there because you was on a wonderful momentum there. But dude, I genuinely think we are about to get him activate the emergency protocols, the ones like, like he is bringing out the big red button of Doctor Who right now because it's one of those things that on the scale, if he didn't bring back Billy, if he didn't do that, fans would be very, very heartbroken and diminished over the Reality Wars ending. So I think this is why I haven't had a chance to do Theory Corner in a while. But I do think fans have guessed it. I think fans have guessed what is going to happen. I think we are going to get a very big special or three part series with Billy Piper. Um, and I don't think she's going to be the Doctor. I think she will be a bad wolf infused
Mm.
glitch of a Doctor. She will be the glitch Doctor, and until whatever happens, she will not call
Mm.
herself the Doctor. I think she will just call herself the Bad Wolf until then, and that will make sense as to why in apparent times. But I would love to
Mm.
see. This is my theory. This is my theory,
I
right?
think I know where you're going with this.
Wait, let's hear
Because
it.
because once again, we've not had Monster of the Week. We've not had that stuff. So for her three-part specials, right, I kind of think it would be an appropriate thing to give, like, say, now my original design for this three-part specials would be that, like, and I think it might actually just be more of a special, and I think it would be better being just a special, like a 65-minute part, you know, cinema spectacular extravaganza, and this one will be the real reality war. And what it will be is a return of a new Dalek Emperor who actually wants to become a god or has become a god.
Ooh.
And it's down,
Ooh.
and this is why she's regenerated into the Bad Wolf Doctor, because the Doctor has needed his godly update recently to fight the gods. Now, how would you do so? Bring on the Bad Wolf, and that would make sense to fight the god of Daleks, or maybe the god of Cybermen, or something, or the
I'd
Master,
watch that.
or the Master
A great idea.
but he will now. I think we are going to get the RTD1 era Doctor Who, and I think that that was his, because obviously where RTD2 has been very, very different, all for the best reasons. Like he's been so progressive, so wonderful in his writing and stuff, but he's been playing with fire in essentially in this one, and now that it's gone down a route that fans are now questioning the reality of the show and its future, he's got to work very hard to make this right. And I think for whatever 16 will bring, I think that will bring back a blend of whatever follows with Billy Piper. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to tailor RTD1 and RTD2 together the best way possible. So, like all the best elements of RTD2, like Bonnie Langford and Kate Lethbridge Stewart, and all of these wonderful locations and people that we've met potentially,
Mm.
blend it with the narratives of RTD1 more esque, the
Yeah.
kind of energy of it, and I think you might be golden there. Um, because I would be so game for like I think it would be bloody brilliant if, whatever happens and she admits that she's the bad wolf doctor, doesn't know that obviously it'd be brilliant if it was a little bit of a joke that obviously the first place that she lands is on Skaro, right? just walks out the door, sees the Dalek Emperor making like everything, and she goes, "You cheeky son of a gun! I've been dealing with the gods all this time. This is what you've been doing all this time." Like it's something
Mm.
like, do you know,
Oh,
not like
you
that, but
again.
like
Yeah.
obviously while because we've had lack of sci-fi, we've had such a lack of sci-fi. Don't get me wrong, we've had The
Right.
Well and some other episodes
Yeah.
which have been very sci-fi, but while obviously explaining the underverse and everything magical going on, I feel like the Sontarans, the Cybermen, the Daleks, they've all been just kind of going, can we can we
Right.
have fun now?
Yeah, like, hello.
Yeah, I think
I
they're just
think I think they've been
Well,
waiting for
now.
this. They've been waiting for this moment for this, and then, like you say, I've got a theory of my own actually.
Mhm.
And what if the Doctor is still in Wish World? The wish hasn't actually stopped, and then and
Oh.
then
Oh my God, wait, could
the
you imagine if we've just been slating
the,
15 all this time and then
the,
it turns out that it's him, like it's still him
It's literally
afterwards.
part of the
And
plan.
like
Excuse me, I
he's gonna be there
apologize
and
for everything
unleashed.
we just
the
said. Yeah.
what if the next episode is you get Billy Piper, she just says, "Oh hi," and then just goes straight back to shooting at well, 15th Doctor.
But
Oh God, I don't know how I'd
you know
react
what?
to
I would
that.
be here for it. I would be here.
Oh, like it just changes back and there's like, okay, so that was weird.
But I do agree with what James was saying that the law of the show needs to be kind of explained now because like the Doctor is just talking about by generation with 13 and she's like what, and then the Doctor just regenerates, so by generation only happened once, so are we going to get the 14th Doctor coming into whoever Billy is playing the Bad Wolf Doctor, and perhaps they come together and then 14 and they make 16
I
perhaps.
That would be
honestly,
cool.
I honestly cannot see a world
Nice.
where Russell doesn't use this opportunity with Billy Piper to then have
Are you
some
about
sort
to
of
say
reunion with
explain the
David Tennant
clothes?
at 14.
Are
Sorry?
you about to ask an explanation for the clothes again? Because no,
Well,
to be fair, I did when you said that, it did make me think about something. So if this is like Billy, like if this is Rose Tyler, right? Rose, I mean Rose, not the moment, not Bad Wolf, and she's been able to hack into the laws of regeneration, right? Somehow from the parallel universe. Like maybe the Meta Crisis Doctor taught her how to do it to send messages to herself or something, right? Then James, you're going to like this bit. Do you think that when they somehow knew that the that Ten's body was coming back, right? She was able to send him the clothing.
see, that would be
The first,
I'd be satisfied with that explanation. Yeah.
or no, actually, to give you a better explanation. Ah, Russell T Davies, if you are watching this, write this down. Right. Okay. David Tennant has grown older in the years, as we know. Bless his heart, he still looks amazing, but we can't deny he's grown and he looks different compared to what he did, obviously back in 2005 era. So, Parallel Earth, Metacrisis Doctor, and Rose Tyler have learned how to hack into the laws of regeneration for the Doctor. Who do they send first? The Metacrisis Doctor. So he takes
Aged
14th Doctor.
version.
And that
Yes.
explains why he's the 14th Doctor, why he's aged a bit, and it is still like it still makes sense in that. And also, just want to say, if the Meta Crisis Doctor chose an outfit after Journey's End, which was quite like Ten's in his own way, but a parallel version, the suit gives a wonderful explanation because people said that it's a parallel of the blue was brown and the
Yeah.
brown is now the blue. It's an inverted color scheme parallel to
Yes.
itself. So send the parallel doctor first. He took on the giggle that failed. Oh, right, okay. You know what? I'm gonna go this time. And then she goes and it explains it's why it's Rose Tyler.
That would be nuts.
But we're not gonna get it. I know we're not gonna get
I
it.
I would prefer Rose or whoever Billy Piper is going to be playing to be Rose than the Bad Wolf personally,
Yeah, I would love it to be Rosemore.
Yeah.
I
because
think it would make sense for it to be the Bad Wolf
yeah, it
more
would.
than Rose, but
After that big heart of the TARDIS theory that everyone's going on about, I mean, I loved it. When I saw that, I
It
was
sounds the
like,
same. It sounds the same.
it does, it really, really does. But I was like, I just loved it, like, because that was the thing. Because like other people could have gone to a really different place in theories. Like they could have gone like, I don't know, like maybe Rose is the Doctor all this time and has been like just pretending to be a companion, and I would just go.
But do you remember what
oh,
Jackie said?
that so much.
Jackie said, you look like him. You're not even human."
Now that's a good little reasoning for it. Don't get me wrong, and I think that would once again make some kind of nice little callback to it. But if the once again the Doctor wasn't there for the TARDIS was there for the conversation though.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe the TARDIS soaks in faces, and where it was a telepathic link set the prefix for the Doctor. Maybe.
I do
I
think
don't.
something's gone wrong though in the regeneration because something looked weird. Like with I don't know if any of you spotted it, but when Shoot Gattle was regenerating, it's not like I've ever seen before. Where when not the Doctor normally regenerates, you can not see any of their body when the fire's coming out. But with him, you can see all through it, and
Because they did that for a very special reason, a very special reason. And dude, you noticed that so well because Jack noticed it as well. And this is the thing, it's the thing of it's unorthodox, right? And we know in the past that when there have not been doctors present, they still do it well, right? We know that when Whitaker wasn't there and they needed to transplant David Tennant, they did it wonderfully. They really did a good job making that effort making sense there. Eccleston to Tennant in the past, they've been able to do a good job, right?
Yeah.
Practical wise, it's not a problem. And also, if we want to have the issue of, well, obviously, Shooty Gatwa's a bloke, he's taller than Billy Piper, so they needed to make sense of it. Well, here's the thing, Jodie Whittaker's smaller than David Tennant, so it's the same argument. So, in a practical effects manner of speaking, it would make easier sense to send Billy Piper 15's clothing to the personal shoot that she did with the green screen, get her in the clothing, and then give us like a little flourish of regeneration energy, and then it has scaled her down and she's in the body, right? That would have been actually 10 times easier graphic effects wise than comparison to merge her face onto the body and figure out a new physical aspect. Like they shortened Shooty's torso, they condensed his shoulder aspect ratio. They've kept like parts of his face are still there. Like I feel like he will like this will be a biohack for the Doctor. I feel like this is
Hmm.
what's going on. It just didn't make in a practicality manner of speaking, in a
mm,
practical sense, it was more effort for them to do that. So it's got to be a reason. It has to be related to the show. And also, I know that people have been saying like you can see Shooty's shadow in the back. No, you can't. It is literally, you know. Wait, who's got it? On the back of James's background, right? You can see the little circular disc there. That's what it is. So it's
Hmm.
not that. I think what it is the you know the TARDIS monitors like the big two discs that we've got
Okay.
the screens. Yeah. So when you watch the regeneration sequence again, when it changes to Billy Piper, people say that you can see Shooty Gatwa's head behind her. It's not his head. If you watch it from the moment he even goes joy to the world once again, it's the shadow is always there. It's just the regeneration energy makes it look a little bit headish, but it's not a head. It's not Shooty Gatwa's beautiful head. We know that head, wherever it may be, because it's beautiful.
I add a theory as well. It's actually not a narrative theory, it's a production theory.
Mmm,
So my,
spicy.
my one is more in the terms on filming and how long it usually takes. So
Are you about to say that Bad Wolf just keeps all of its filmographers locked up in the basement? Because I can believe that.
Yes.
No, you
Um,
come out when we say it's time to come out.
uh,
No, we love you, Bad Wolf.
that's why Billy Piper came out. Uh, no, but basically, I've noticed something when it comes to Disney. So I don't know if anyone else has noticed this as well, but in 2022, so before season one had started filming, we had a video about late November, early December, clapboard, and we started video. So that was a December, work with me here.
Yeah.
December, this was for season one. Oh, hang on a second.
Everyone salute. Everyone salute. No, not you.
Alright,
John. We
guys, see
don't
you
salute. We
later.
salute to you. You're the doctor in this one. No, no, we salute to you. We're Lethbridge
Hang on,
stewarding.
hang on,
We're
hang on, hang on. Before you do anything.
Another screenshot.
No, 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 not even that, not even that. Oh dear, the TARDIS is going. Oh my
you
God.
better TARDIS theme.
Yeah, hang on, you're right. But not just any TARDIS theme. It is a very special one.
What, the cloister bell?
How do you know this?
Well,
Oh,
it's either the hum
right.
or the cloister bell.
Let's all salute for Josh.
21 cloister gun salute. I don't think it's playing. Hold it to the microphone, darling.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Oh,
Hang on, wait. Wait, I might be able to. I might be able to give it.
you work well in comedy, honestly, Lewa.
What?
That was you had that natural comedic note. You do, genuinely, in terms of like performing.
I've never
Yeah,
heard that done.
it's like literally closer to the microphone.
Oh, give it the Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. But as I was just saying, whilst we're waiting for that, have you got it, Lewa?
Hang on. Can you hear?
The moment you stop brushing.
Sorry.
Oh, great.
There we go.
Can you hear that?
No.
No.
Hang on.
Well, oh,
Very beautiful sound. I'm saying. I love the cloister. I've got that's my phone alert.
Oh, what's Mason doing?
Wait, where are you all?
wear a kilt.
Wear a kilt. Wear a kilt.
There we
Oh,
go.
God.
He did that with elegance. He did that with elegance, boys.
Can I continue what I was saying?
Yeah.
So,
Mind if I quickly run to the toilet?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry if I ruined your point. Sorry,
no,
sorry.
it's all right. I'll just talk about it with the others. But basically, what I was just saying is that with the Disney deal, it's taken longer to make a season purely because of how time consuming it can be with VFX and all that. So it usually takes from November to December to like when to start production, and then they finish in about May to June time. That gives them enough time, and like another 8 to 9 months of just putting the editorially post production VFX, special effects, CGI, and all that. What I find very fascinating though is I think they've always knew that Disney was going to will be out because from what a leak has said that they would be filming early next year. for a 2027 release, which I would assume spring. So that's a year. So clearly, VFX, CGI isn't going to be a huge thing for the show going forward now. So I don't know if that will be the case, but it's a shame because I think, in terms of visual effects, the show has never looked so better.
It 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 has improved a lot with the Disney deal, the visual effects. I will say though, and I know a lot of people may disagree with me on this. I I think as long as we get really good stories going forward, I think the show can get away with not looking quite as spectacular as it once did, as it has in this Disney era. Um, I think this is probably going to make us appreciate the lower budget episodes a lot more.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's what's making this really frustrating is that we don't even know if Disney's continuing. There isn't any sign of confidence either. Like if it truly was Disney, then that's the reason why Sooty Cat was left. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm getting increasingly frustrated day by day that we haven't had anything, and now tomorrow is Friday. It'll be nearly a week since we had that big stunt reveal, and no word, unless we get that, get any sort of information about on Saturdays.
Like
And
I
so
I know I said earlier about the war between the land and the sea, but we might not get anything after that. But Doctor Who specifically said, and Russell specifically said, that we will know after series two. So the series two is gone. So any time now we should be getting some sort of announcement. If we don't get it on Saturday, I would be I would be shocked if we didn't get it on Saturday because they've got the Unleashed special. So I hope we do. I hope we do because like you can't just leave it like that and not say anything. Like it's fine if you don't want to give us a reason. That's fine, but just tell us maybe what the plan is going to go forward now.
Yeah, I think we're at a point now where there needs to be some sort of clarity. Um, doesn't mean we have to know everything, but I think given what happened in the last episode, where it's quite noticeable that there were reshoots, and I think it's quite common knowledge as to what has happened, not necessarily why it happened, but what has happened. Um, I think we need to hear something.
the fans are just as much as the press are as well.
Mm.
I think the fans should be treated with more respect like the press, because I just think that whilst fans can be overreactive as well, like what we get online, I think it's so important though that you respect the fan base, because without the fan base, everyone here wouldn't have a job.
Mm.
We are the ones who are buying the merchandise. We are the ones paying £15 a ticket just to go see it at the cinema. We are the consumers. So let us know what you want to do,
Mm.
just so we can still consume you. Do you get what I mean?
That's a good point, actually, to be fair. I do kind of feel like they've been trying to reach so many audiences which aren't the traditional audience of Doctor Who, like
Yeah.
the Vivians. It's sashayed away from actually kind of like just writing Doctor Who. Like it's kind of in that wake of like if you just stay true to the show, the people will come.
Do you
And
know why?
that's
Do you know why Marvel does the big Hall H panels? Is because they treat the fans as much as like the press.
yeah, exactly. Like as you say, it's they've got that even the fact that for like all that Marvel's had issues wise with their tenure in Disney, they still know how to keep a good symbiosis of a link with the audience. And I just kind of sit there and think like, if you think Doctor Who is up there and should be up there with Marvel and DC and all the greats, which I completely agree with you, and you've upped its budget, then you need to up your game, sweetie. Like, that's the thing. It's kind of update everything. You've got to update everything. And
And
I mean also the online stuff as well.
Russell knows that there are Doctor Who fans that treat themselves like journalists.
You know,
And
yeah.
Not naming names, but yeah.
they're like Who culture, for example, because I have opinions on Who culture, but I will appreciate that, Ellie does so well when it comes to
Yeah, she
the,
does.
the journalism side. That's why I named Ellie because I think she's done really well with that. She's done really well when it comes to when she ever gets for some form of reports, she will make sure she reports it to us. Russell, you need to up your game because Ellie is doing a better job at the moment.
Like when Russell posted that picture of like Billy Piper's chair, like on the set, it's just presumed like it was on Badwell Studios. It looked like it. Um, and he doesn't say anything. He just posts the photo after the episode, knowing that lots of us are wanting to know what's happening right now, and we are the one who waits. So scrap Sutek. He was never the one who waits. That's us.
Yeah, we are more wrapped around the spine of the TARDIS than Sutek ever will be.
Yeah.
And
Just to make clear as well, when I named Who culture, it's purely based on compliments, not on slacking anyone off.
Mm.
It
yeah,
was, I
Yeah.
just want to make that clear, just in case Ellie is watching. You're doing a great job.
we love you, Ellie.
We love you.
Like I do, no, I do agree with you. The Who culture. I like it as well because like they don't tell us. If there's a speculation, they make sure it's a speculative kind of video. They make sure it's not enticing with fake news and stuff. And I think we all Whovians, we all embellish on stuff that's not true news and stuff, and whatever. But I like Who culture sticks to its like they only give us the stuff that's actually kind of true, if you know what I mean.
And
Instead,
I just think that exactly what you're about to say. Like, I just think we're in a state now where, yes, Doctor Who's 62 years old, but we might be risking it staying at 62. We just need some clarification, just so that we know, so we can at least look forward to it. If you keep silent, I always think silence is the most painful thing than there ever is because silence gives you so much to speculate and so much to overthink about, and that makes you panic. It makes you fear more. It's like midnight. You can't see the monster, but what does it do? It makes people inside, the victims, the monsters. And in doing
well,
so,
this sorry, no, carry on.
I was just about to say basically because it's gone silent, I just feel as though, like even Russell T Davies when he posted the Billy Piper seat, he didn't say anything either. He didn't say anything. I don't know if you noticed that. He didn't say anything. I might be saying some really, not harsh, but some over the top things. But basically, I just think that they need to say something because I know for a fact that Doctor Who will be staying forever because it is that big. But I just think that if you want it to be in a healthy state now, just give us something. Just give us what you're planning to do. Do you get what I mean?
I don't even think they have to tell
I
us
think
like exactly what they're planning to do, but they like specifically they just need to give us some clarity of like maybe when can we expect more Doctor Who content? Like, are we going to get a special with Billy, or you know, or when can we expect the next series? I think that's what needs to happen next, really. Like, it doesn't have to be too much detail but I think we need to have an idea of what to expect. It's like but like I remember as soon as the Power of the Doctor aired, I think it was like not even 24 hours after that, we started getting bombarded with content about RTD2 and what was going to be coming up and stuff like that. Like all the marketing, all the emojis, all that, it was Doctor Who on
And
social media back then was very loud And now it's like you said, Jack, it's like we've kind of hit a point now where we've gone silent.
I think in the root of the silence, right? I think once again, like when, as you say, we had that constant stream of marketing and immersiveness from them after David Tennant came back. Like it was a shift straight away. Like it's been planned, and it
Mm.
has. Like this is the thing. Like I've got my own theories about all of the public meta narrative with RTD, and I'm sticking with my guts here, and I genuinely believe that he has been playing us this entire time. Like I really do. I think all of these leaks and stuff, I genuinely think they are coming from himself. Like
Mm.
they genuinely struggle to believe that Disney and BBC have been able to simply be leaked by one person
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
loads of people,
I
and they
don't get it.
haven't caught this.
I don't get how that one
Exactly.
person knew.
It's too perfect. It's too perfect of a narrative in today's age where security is at its highest. In production talks, right? I got talking to a director who's been involved, and I'm not going to name him, but he told me that in the big production companies today, right, when they are working on a script, if they're working on anything, right, the one copy of that script, right, is only on one iPad until like from its moment of conception until it reaches that writer's room for major reworks and then it goes off to the processing unit.
Mm.
It's only accessible to one person and one person alone, and that will be the showrunner, right? It cannot, it's locked with one password. These things are so secretive now. So I'm just sitting there just kind of going to myself, like, the news that we get on the show, like I feel like all of these terrible Daily Mail articles saying that, Shooty's leaving and whatever, I genuinely feel like he has gone to people and given them a little tiny nugget of something which could be true or could not be true to get us scared, to get us as a public really interested in the meta of what's going on with the show, like what's going to happen. And it's this thing of like, if he put things out there, right? Okay, because the trouble is with also the fandom is we are too good as well. Sometimes we are too good. We have strained close to the sun. So how, and also this is the problem of Doctor Who isn't becoming too predictable in its storylines, but fans are able to predict things very, very well. So how do you get that fear factor back to the show to have kids sitting on the edge of their seat, to get the parents sat on the edge of their seat, to really make people think that this might be the end of Doctor Who, right? So he fed the tabloids all of this stuff the whole time to get people scared for the show, to make sure that they will go and watch it, to make sure that you will watch it, right? Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense because the information there was too enriched with truth. This is it Archie? Who's the guy that was the lead?
Okay,
What was
Andrew.
his name?
Andrew.
Andrew. I'm sorry, that information there was too classified to be true, right? I'm sorry, the
He
information that
no,
he put on
yeah, he said exactly what's going to happen in the finale. Got everything right.
exact. He said the contingency plans were true. So if someone knows the contingency plans, they need to be very high up.
Yeah.
And that's where the wolf has made its big weak link. And I
And
think
bearing in mind, Andrew will not be his actual name, or whoever they are.
Andrew's not going to be his name. I genuinely think Andrew might be like RTD or his like assistant or something.
Yeah.
And they are doing it because musicians do it, writers do it as well. And this is the thing when they've got a product of theirs coming out and they know that there's a what's the word? An embargo on it, right?
Mm.
If they want fans to get excited, if they want to get fans excited somehow, but they know that they can't go online and tell people it, what do? You make a whole echo chamber, a whole stage play of fake news and media. And what has he been spending this entire two series writing about? The online wars,
Yeah.
essentially. that the meta conflict with the people who really hate the show online and stuff. So what he's done is not only given us a wonderful 2 series of theatre, but also given us a bit of theatre with the mainline narrative of what is going on behind the show
Very
as
true.
well. A symbiotic link to make the fans scared, to keep everything interesting for the show. And I genuinely think if he's done that, I can believe it. I think he's a very clever writer and he's worked in times to keep things covered up, to keep things, to let things loose at certain points, right? I just don't see this being like, with all of these things of like Andrew, and I just kind of sit there and think that would be for a TV show that has got maybe a weak mother source of a company, like maybe, I don't know, maybe Netflix or something. Maybe a Netflix show might be able to get leaked easily. I can see that. The BBC has been around for too long to endure leaks to be a possibility. They would have had privacy rights enacted, loads of stuff to go on to make sure that nobody can leak it. Disney, they are the kings of privacy. I'm sorry. Have you not seen this, the way that they have hallowed on Tom Holland for ruining Avengers before? Like the actors are scared. The actors are scared that Disney is listening through their walls at home. Benedict Cumberbatch made a joke about that, like when he was talking about Infinity War. He was in his room and he went, I actually need to make sure that Disney and Marvel aren't hearing listening in on me at the moment. And it's that thing of they control the actors, they control the production team, they know. I'm officially just saying this now. If it's none of you guys,
Disney's.
if it, I'm saying this, I'm going to say it again. I'm sending this message to Russell T Davis, Julie Gardner, James Franta, and Phil Collinson. If you are not leaking the stuff yourselves, please, before any Doctor Who takes place in the future, lock down your material
Yeah,
somehow.
because someone is doing it, and someone is doing it very well. Because surely whoever's leaking this stuff, how are they not getting in trouble for it? Be-
Exactly.
because
By law, if you're leaking stuff that is confidential, it is by law. They can take you to court.
yeah, because they get mad, like the Doctor Who team, like Russell, if someone like says something or have a theory, and then they don't know it's true.
I see where you're going.
But so I
Might as
don't
well just
see.
say
I don't see how it could be Russell.
Well,
I
actually, no,
just don't.
wait,
But
we can talk about this now. No, you can. Right, sorry. No, I'm actually going to add on that. No, we can talk about this now. We can because it's been and gone. I guessed a certain part in the well and it was correct. And a certain somebody told me off for doing so, right? And I respected it more than anything else on the planet Earth, right? And he was so, like, the fact that I was a stranger to him, right? He was kind regardless, especially with the fact that if we now know that he knew that Shooty Gatwell was leaving at the Robot Revolution, it makes sense why he got snappy with me for ruining the world potentially. Because he is holding on to everything which is dear, which is still true to the show without going through rewrites. And that's why he got very protective over the well with me. All I'm saying is find out who the people on Bad Wolf are leaking, get rid of them. Seriously. Like,
As well, it's ruining, I think, what these leakers are doing. Let's say I'm going to go on to the hype. I'm going to disagree with you, Lewa, for one section. The rest I can totally buy. One section is that I do genuinely think there is a leaker.
mm,
Uh, and I do think whoever this leaker is, look, Russell, Phil, Jane, please, 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 before you even start rolling, just find out who this Andrew person is. Do an investigation, find out who he is, get rid of them, and then continue on because I'm getting fed up with the Who tubers making these videos and putting them in the title.
yeah.
yeah, they keep
And
asking Andrew to go on their channel.
why would you want that? Like, I'm sorry, why would I know it's good source material to find out the secret mystery and stuff like that, but you're entertaining the devil to Doctor Who.
You're just
And
ruining it for everyone.
it's ruining for I have to, I'm gonna, now that this show's over, the series at least. A couple of weeks ago, me and Mason were talking about a leak. I didn't believe it. I don't think Mason believed it either. And it basically listed five things, and it was Mrs. Flood would be the Rani, and it'll be a bi-generation, and it'll be one of them will be cast as an Indian actress.
Yeah.
Would return with a CGI claw. 13th Doctor would be a cameo. Basically, it listed the things, and I thought to myself, "Oh shit, I think I just read spoilers." Um, but then once the first two got right, I thought, "Okay, prepare yourself. Shooty Girl is leaving." And so I couldn't help but think, Andrew, you got this all right. How the hell did you get this right? Like, it's
Yeah.
so sensitive,
Is it
especially with
small details as well?
it's the small details. Like I'm so glad though that he didn't put everything in there because Rogue wasn't mentioned. Um, the Anita wasn't mentioned. All of these stuff weren't mentioned. So why are you spoiling it for others?
He even got the certificate right on the robot revolution.
Yeah, Andrew, I am talking to you directly now, Andrew. Stop it. You're ruining
Yeah.
fans.
It's just it does spoil it for everyone, like it big time.
It's the huge reason why Shooter Garrett had that monologue saying, you are taking people's fears and maybe not making it currency, but making it currency. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
making money, but you are taking people's fears. You are also leaking and spoiling it for others. Like, you're making Russell T Davies look like he's not, properly looking into this. Like, he probably is. Andrew, please stop it. You're really ruining it for others.
That's the thing that I don't understand is like if you're Bad Wolf wants all the same, right? But if you're the BBC and Disney and your public relations manager or whatever it is, the person who monitors the perspective of the show, like the person who looks at the news and goes, "Oh, right, okay, this is what's going on." Someone must have in Bad Wolf or Disney or BBC seen these articles and gone, "We got a problem. We we've got a huge issue on our hands. Someone's leaking our information. We need to get to the bottom of this now." Do you not think that institutions like the BBC and Disney have not got the technology to track back an IP address?
Um, that's the thing. Like, I don't know who. And we don't know if Andrew's part of Bad Wolf was an external person. I think it's an external person getting the information from someone else.
But if
He,
it's still someone who's a wellspring, an olive branch of information, they must be. Like we've heard that they've had methodologies of tackling leakers in the past, like they give them fake information, they coordinate, or they literally do what Capaldi does in The Lie of the Land: turn all the cameras off, and then the person who turns it back on is the person who is the leak. Right? That's essentially what they do. They blindside everyone until the person turns their own cameras back on. Right? Why hasn't they must have found the person now, right? And I
but
do
but the thing is, Andrew has even said stuff now. He's saying stuff now about
This
how Billy Piper's a doctor and the reasoning for it. He's even
well,
saying stuff after the final finale.
well, this is the thing. So the person I mean, right, if you look that the contingency plans were activated around the robot revolution, the person was still obviously on set. So I think that there would have been some. To be honest with you, I just kind of think they need to just call everyone in the production office from series one and two, every single person who's ever worked for them, and just get official. I genuinely think they would need to now at that point.
Yeah, they need to kind of
you
have
need
a
to go Tom Cruise, like just literally
yeah.
just saying, this is the industry. You're earning money over this. Do you get what I mean? Like,
But what are
it
they gaining from it? What are they gaining from it? From like just leaking everything?
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want to be the first people to Yeah.
But then
No.
you just see the same videos from everyone saying Lika Andrews done this, Lika's done this, Lika's done this.
I just find it heartbreaking as well. Like once again, oh my God, I got it right once again. But like, I find that the fact that the approach was right, I this is something that doesn't make sense to me, right? This is something that doesn't make sense to me. I put a comment on an Instagram post, and they was able to hack me down. They was able to literally within 5 minutes go, you, let's have a chat. Come here, come here. No, no. If you know spoilers, don't post it. They was able to counteract me within minutes. And I know I did broadcast myself quite easily to them, understandable. But whoever these leakers are, they have done multitudes worse in damage. And I don't understand that is the fact that if any of us were given the opportunity and the privilege to be a part of that show in some shape or form, they would have our heart and our secrecy like that. And it's the
Yeah.
fact that I didn't even have a leak. I just guessed it.
Yeah,
I guessed it, right? And yet he was still very, just but fair with me. Absolutely fine. But if you're able to get like that with a member of the public, once again, I don't work for you. I hope to. That's all I'm saying. But come on, we all want to. We all want to. We
Russell,
all
you've
want
heard
to.
how good his theories are. He would be an
Stop.
incredible writer.
No, we all want to be a part in our own shape or form. We all do.
No, Lua wants to be the Lika, so he can tell us everything.
I want to be Andrew 2.0. That's what I want to be. No, I kind of sit there and think if they're able to counteract public displays of stuff like that so easy, then why aren't they able to tackle and cauterize their own in-house issues? That just seems paradoxical to me because once again, it's our dream to be a part of, to make a show, to make a property of something like that. And if they're hiring people who are so ill-hearted that they'll happily just leak it, then they need to have a think about the people that they're hiring as well. That's all I'm saying. Hire Whovians, we'll protect you no matter what. And there is a pantheon of Whovians out there who are creative. Just hire Whovians, and then you know that the show's going to be safe in secrecy. That's all I'm just saying.
I also want to continue on what you said about that, about hiring, creators as well. Like, I'm really, really passionate in that. Obviously, Doctor Who is a 60-year-old show, and it's going to last, many more years, and we're going to view this whole Billy Piper thing as, oh yeah, that was an interesting time for the show. Yeah, and it's exciting because obviously Doctor Who, there's got to be these moments where you got to take a steer turn, like Marvel's done that now. Um, and obviously, like for me as well, like to work on Doctor Who would be a privilege, even if it's just an episode. If it's just like if they said to me, "Oh, we need this filler episode," oh, who's that? Jack? Yeah, let's bring him in to direct. Like, if they ever like brought that to me, just know I would keep everything to myself. And like these leaks genuinely breaks my heart because I know how many filmmakers. It's why before the finale I made a post saying, "Look, this finale is going to it's going to be controversial regardless. So I'm just going to say this now before it's out. Thank you, because it's so important that we recognize that these things take so much energy and time away from our family and loved ones to entertain us. And we just got to recognize that regardless if the episode with the reality war is flawed, it would have taken overtime, unpaid overtime to get that fixed. And I just want to say thank you because you didn't
Yeah,
have to, but you did.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't agree more, mate. Actually, thank you. All the same. Once I think we've imploded it and we've looked at its blemishes, but we still haven't given it enough praise. So once again, couldn't agree more, Jack. Words of wisdom and words of power there, mate.
The VFX as well, like I want to take a huge, shout out to the VFX. If the rumors are to be led to believe that Shooty decided to leave during the Robot Revolution, we don't know that for sure. It's not us say we weren't there. the regeneration was on par to David Tennant's The End of Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
It,
say it's the saddest
Well,
since actually.
spectacular.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I just think that the way it looked, the way it was done, the music, the cinematography, if that was last minute, props to you creators, you fabulous, fabulous, beautiful people, because you just did something absolutely wonderful in last minute changes. That is so, so impressive.
Well, do you know what though? I do kind of think it was last minute, but I think it was done with an elegant flourish because uh, once again, like the environment to where he regenerated, I think was just the time vortex nebula. That was it. Like where before, kind of like when the TARDIS skips between, like it pops out of that nebula
Is
in the
it
title sequence.
the original where it zooms into it before it goes to the logo?
No, no. So you just see it kind of go. It puffs out of a little cloud and then it goes into the time
It
vortex.
Yeah.
it looks like the
They
same
added in, yeah,
same
Yeah,
vortex as Doomsday. It looks like.
yeah. But before it gets into the time vortex itself, that little cloud that it puffs out of, right? If you watch the title sequence again, you'll know exactly which bit I'm talking to you about. It puffs out a little bit.
Oh
That
yeah.
that is a purple nebula cluster, if I can remember well, or like a pale pink. And so I can think that like they kind of just thought to themselves, well, let's take that pink and blue and like of the time vortex that we have got, like that kind of color scheme that they've got there, that one,
yeah.
right? That
Mm.
pink and blue. Once again, I'm just saying I've had this for 8 years, and you use that for Shooty's regeneration sequence.
I have something to say though, and I was wondering if any of you knew the answers. So
Okay.
why do we think Ruby was the only one to actually remember Poppy? Why her?
Well, I think it was down the basis of so if we got season three with her, I think it would have become paramount that she was actually a prodigy of a god, a secret god, or something. Because obviously it shows why she was immune to the Desiderium factor. It shows obviously as why she was able to put up a lot of dexterity with Sutek and Maestro as well. Um, but one thing as well that like no one's still talking about is why the snow was the killing blow to Melanie. Like once again, I invite you to go back to watch Empire of Death. You know the bit before they go into the bio records room. Melanie is already kind of dead at that point. I think she got succumbed truly back on the TARDIS by Sutek. I think he had her then, right? So when they're walking and like the Ruby and the Doctor are in the room, they've got that they're psyching the screen. There's a moment where Melanie's outside on her own, and
Mm.
like
Yes.
she's like she's really going for it there, and like in that moment the snow does something so different to anyone else than it's ever done before. The floor is freezing. It's freezing her legs like it's attacking her. Like I genuinely recommend you go back to watch that
Yeah.
because it's defending Ruby. So I think the snow was going to be a very secret storyline that we had.
Mm.
What I will give you from everything that I know about Reality War and the Wish World, things that really didn't wrap up well, because I had one question from Jack as well earlier, and it was Interstellar Song Contest it ended on the cliffhanger of the TARDIS.
Yes,
But
yeah,
Yes.
do you want the explanation? Or what I've been able to tether together very loosely to
when I
make
listen
sense
to
of it.
it.
Definitely. Go on him.
So, right. The entire time that we've had the Doctor and Belinda, you need to get me home the 24th of May. Right. That's been the basis. He can't get her home because it's locked. And we know that Earth has disappeared in an explosion, right? And that explosion was. Does anyone know what the explosion was?
Night.
Hmm?
When it clocks to midnight because the underworld and all that.
Exactly. That was the final flourish, according to Without the Doctor's Temperament, a world where the Rani succeeded. Right? That was it. The wish kept constantly, it needed to recycle itself constantly. Every single day, it became the 24th of May again and again and again and again and again and again. And the doubt just kept building up and building up, right? So what I think happened there was the TARDIS bypassed that temporal lock, and they showed up at the moment of the Rani winning in a cycle, right? So then the wish reset itself again at the moment that they showed up at the implosion, but they became part of events at that moment. So it's in that thing that the explosion happened, but before they died, it reset. The TARDIS is now in the Bone Palace with the Rani, and they have popped him and Belinda into their own house, and that's why that happens in that census of things. One thing that really did complex me was, and I asked you this all in the group chat, and I think I figured out how it self heals itself, was if the 24th of May was impenetrable to even Time Lords, then how did the Time Hotel bypass it?
That's
Anyone?
a very good question.
I've got the answer for you.
Go
Because it was a tiny, tiny little slip. So at the end of Wish World, the Doctor, she goes, "Nice of you to join us again, Doctor, but I remember you, and I will make sure that you do not succeed." Blasts the thing, right? He is falling. The moment that he falls, the clock hits midnight, right? It has then, at that point in time, entered a tiny little harmony point between the 24th and the 25th of May. So it's not technically the 24th of May there. It's resetting as it's happening, but in that tiny pocket of the 25th of May. So I think in the moment when he was falling, that was the 25th of May. So then the Time Hotel was able to just about get in there and save him at the moment. But then that obviously makes the question of why didn't the Doctor just show up at the 25th of May? Well, obviously there was a point to him getting back to the 24th, and that was to get Belinda home. And if he dropped her off on the 25th of May, then she wouldn't have been there to look after Poppy all along. But as we know, that wasn't an actual point because that reality was never a thing, unless it was a thing. And what they have done to us this entire point in time was not gaslight the companion, they gaslighted the Doctor and the audience this time.
Yeah, what about if that is from a different reality that Belinda is saying that around about Poppy, because she did seem quite different in the end to what
Well,
how she acted all the
well,
other
that's
episodes.
a lot of her reality changed big time, like super duper changed. Like, because this was another thing that I asked Jack as well. And I said, and I think you guys will also have the same answer as Jack. Whose house was that at the end?
Yeah, that was a different house, wasn't it?
That was Belinda's
Yeah.
house. Was that Belinda's house or her mother's house?
I
Uh,
reckon.
I think it's Belinda's because reality, no matter what, even if it was changed to just by a degree, it was still changed. So I think that became her new house. Basically, a lovely,
because
lovely.
that was definitely not the house that she started with.
Which,
Exactly. Something really, really has manipulated the
which
timelines.
fun fact, I think that's actually Shooty's house.
What, his real house?
Because in Unleashed, there was a bit where Belinda what's her name? V was talking to Poppy, and they were saying, "Yeah, that's Shooty's house."
Oh no, she was pointing at the TARDIS in that bit.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
No, I see what you mean with that. No, no, no. Because she was going, no, that's Shooty's house, the TARDIS, and she goes, oh, that's the TARDIS, and like it's really
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't actually film at his actual house because if they admitted that, everyone's going to go there.
yeah.
oh God, yeah. You
I,
have to
I
move.
kind of I know. I tell you what house I thought it was when he was waking up. I thought, are we about to see him meet with 14 in the noble household? I thought that that was the back garden of the noble house.
I think that would have happened if the other ending probably. I reckon 14 probably would have turned up.
I think so as well.
Hmm.
But I just kind of sit there and think like it like I had to think very hard to actually make sense of what the end of Wish World, no, the end of the Interstellar Song Contest was to make sense for Wish World. Like they never actually answered what that explosion was. They never actually gave the fans that answer. And I think a lot of fans, like without getting creative and thinking like about it, they're never gonna get the answers. And like, because this was the thing, like I was kind of still sat there until like 2 days ago, and I actually was like, what's that? What happened there?
Hmm.
Do you think it's weird though? Because at the start of Wish World, the Rani is on her own, and Miss Flood's nowhere to be seen. And then Miss Flood just rocks in her Lucky Day outfit. So she changed her outfit as well.
No, I think that makes sense because obviously, if you look at the timeline of the series now, so right, the moment for Lucky Day, right? Lucky Day, that is predominantly, I think, the beginning series point actually, because they meet Conrad, right? Belinda and the Doctor, they meet Conrad in that point. But if you look at it not for Belinda and the Doctor, just look at it for the Doctor has met Conrad after the events of Space Babies and In Between the Devil's Cord. So
Yeah.
he showed up and he was like, "You betrayed my friend. You do not do that," or something. No, he showed up. I think it was in between the events of the Empire of Death and the Robot Revolution as well, in the white outfit when he talks to Conrad at that point, right? From that moment, the Doctor has been given the name Belinda Chandra by Conrad. He then goes to the Robot Revolution and he meets her. But at that point, in the Interstellar Song Contest, the Rani has been born from Mrs. Flood. The Rani has enacted her plan going to Wishworld, but Mrs. Flood has gone back to Lucky Day to go and get Conrad. And I think that's really cool because it really sophisticates and makes the entire series chronology very timey-wimey, which is brilliant. But it's not obvious. And I think a lot of people are just kind of gonna neglect on that timey-wimey factor of writing because that's very sophisticated actually as well. And the fact that the entire thing now ends as a whole bootstrap paradox with the certificate being thrown, I think that was actually very clever. Like I kind of think I would have wanted the robots to show up at the end, but beggars can't be choosers.
I agree with that. I think with overall with season two, I really like the dark aspects. And lest we forget as well, there still is a point where people were saying everywhere on social media every single week, "Oh my God, Doctor Who's done it again. This is a fabulous episode." Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Every single week, even though Mason, I know you weren't a huge fan of the story in the engine. I think from the first 6 weeks, I would say I don't know about Wishful because I haven't seen the reactions on Wishful, but the first 6 weeks, it was literally banger after banger after banger after banger for Doctor Who. So I assume BBC is going to take this into account because I don't know if you noticed this. I know we're not people that talk about ratings and all that, but I don't know if you noticed this, but um the overnights for Reality World, because he didn't do the 8 a.m. drop, proved that the whole releasing it early was its biggest mistake because
Yeah.
he got
I saw
2.2
that.
million. I think it was the second highest of the day. And many people like myself, like, why are you even doing this early? Like, Joy to the World, even though it's Christmas Day in Churchill Road, just proves that you really don't need to release these episodes early to make them a huge hit.
They was trying to obviously cater to the rest of the world, but I hate to say it in this point in time. Sorry, the rest of the world, you're just gonna have to wait. I
And
think
I think, like, I agree with that because it clearly didn't bother them during Christmas Day because we were priority. We were Doctor Who is part of our Christmas Day primetime slot.
I I think the momentum of releasing it mucks it up a lot because with the 60th it was like the Christmas specials, wasn't it? Like just on in the evening, and then you go through the series. All right, we go to midnight releases to 8 a.m. releases, and then we have the one episode of the entire era, the only episode with both series that actually aired at a normal time. Because remember, last year's finale aired at midnight release. This finale didn't air
Yeah.
at the suited time. So Reality War is the only episode in the era that has actually aired properly. And then look at it, it's the best one, like probably for viewing figures, probably with Interstellar for obvious reasons. Um, so yeah, I just hope that going forward that is the case,
But the
regardless of who the partner is.
but
That
the
is a learning curve for them.
it just goes to show it wasn't the actor who you cast, it wasn't the writers who you've hired, it was when you released it and how you released it. And I do believe, like in all honesty, when they released season one in mid-May, even I thought to myself, what? You're going to release your first season of your new era at a time where people aren't going to be watching telly? How's that work? And you're releasing it at midnight, right? You're shooting yourself in the foot here because Doctor Who Doctor Who isn't a springtime show anymore. It's a autumn, Christmas, or early New Year's type thing where daytime is getting dark early. You gathering back into your house, wrapping up yourself, watching the telly more. Like that is when Doctor Who should be on.
There was problems with either release, with the midnight release and the 8 a.m. release. At least if it's on the evening, you'll know. Oh, I can watch it after that then.
Yeah.
I, I kind of just think like all of these variables that we have to examine now, like viewing, like can we just keep it simple and just have Doctor Who just released as it was? Just, do you know what I mean? Like, if people
Yeah.
really want it across like international waters, like then yeah, you'll get it. But like, we don't get Always Sunny in Philadelphia until 12 months after it's been aired. I'm
I
sorry.
feel like they did bend over backwards a bit too much.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
time. Like they've been like once again they've been catering to the other audiences and not the Whovian. And this is the thing, like they've got that balance very wrong. Like
Yeah,
get the balance right, yeah, fair dues. But like it just kind of feels like we've been shunted to the corner, and it's like
Especially season one.
come in, come in, come in. We want you to watch the show. It's for you. Not that disregard them, disregard the Whovians at the moment. Like, we'll put them in the corner and we'll get them to not complain. But you're going to enjoy this, right? This is for you. And it's kind of the thing of like, well, the Whovians have been the backbone for the show as well as the show itself. Like, we've been there with you guys for its
yeah.
thick and thins. Like,
It's
do you not think that the reality war should have been written for us, the Whovians, and not the predominant? Because this is the thing that when I heard the reality war, I was scared because I was thinking this is going to be as big as the Time War. This is going to be a huge law-based thing, baby, and it wasn't, and it just wasn't.
Mhm.
the rally war was sorted in 10 minutes.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I will give
Even
it to her,
more.
actually. I think they still got the Rani bang on the dot because what they've done is they've still given us a feature with Mrs. Flood where she was actually very sinister at her points. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, with the whole kind of bit when she arrested Belinda and like,
Goodbye from me.
yeah, like I think we've got a future with the Rani with the evil one more than the Rani that we saw because that Rani that we saw, she was like, ugh, all the time. Yeah, but I think Mrs. Flood was more sinister, actually, when we
I
think about it.
did love in Wish World. It's like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Can I cut your toenails, ma'am? I thought I'd love that line so much.
That whole subservience is just a trope which I think a lot of Time Lords would work by, is because obviously there needs to be a temporal definite article at that time. I kind of think like maybe 14 and 15 would have had a similar relationship, but I think the Doctor has been known to work well with himself in moments when they've had to work together. Obviously,
What?
the Brahmins not had moments like that.
So the doctor says about having the only TARDIS left, the only TARDIS, didn't he? But are we not counting 14's TARDIS anymore?
No, because he died in a whirlpool in Italy. No, he did. He did. That that was a comment by RTD. He said, I like to think that that doctor died in a whirlpool in Italy back in 1499 or something. And I'm just kind of sitting there thinking to myself, like, you're giving evidence to really back that up now. Like, when I heard him say that I've got the only TARDIS in existence, I was like, don't, don't, seriously, don't tell me that David Tennant's doctor died. Because what you're essentially telling me there is RTD1 is truly in the grave. Not only just RTD1, 1960s Doctor Who to current date is in the grave and dead because that was the story in that body. That container, that vessel, that doctor that we left to have that therapy was the Hartnell doctor to this doctor.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me that he's dead now, that breaks my heart.
So that
Like
changes everything. Yeah.
Russell said when we had the commentaries, he said, I think it was in the giggle commentary, that he likes to think that every Doctor is bi-generated.
Well,
So
actually,
so what I don't get is we go from bi-generation and we're just going back to regeneration.
The
So
thing is that,
what's that
yeah,
about?
he
Up-
Russell T Davies can't just pretend that the past Doctors like had some concept of bi-generation, because that didn't happen. And this is one thing that I've been a bit critical with about some showrunners sometimes, is that, and I don't like this idea of sort of like adding things on that happened in the past, which there's no hint about or anything like that from before. Like he's kind of just made that up, and where there's visual evidence to say otherwise. It's not like what Chibbers did, like where like we created pre-Hartnell doctors and stuff like that. That's fine because you're kind of tapping into like a whole new thing, and there's nothing really that contradicts it. Whereas I feel like saying that Russell saying that he likes to think that everybody bi-generated, where it's like, no, they didn't. We've
If,
seen that they didn't.
if that's the case, but like a shooty would have done it with Billy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I think I think he's expected us to have like some kind of perception filter over it in our own way, and it's kind
yeah.
of like what. So we're just meant to imagine in our head that that shooty 15 bi-generated whacked another TARDIS out and got another one, and are we just expected to believe that? Because it's either you have that argument, or because I can actually believe that he's been working on bi-generation for a long time, and there is proof and that he has been working in bi-generation for a long time. Do you want to know where the roots of it come from?
where,
Huh?
Huh?
where,
It's the meta crisis. Like Donna says, what happens when you like chop one bit off and you grow another one? You like worms. Oh, like honestly, like that Inception, chop one bit off and you grow another one back. You like worms. I'm sorry, that is by generation.
Was
Mm.
you a fan of that?
The Meta Crisis, I was a big fan on because the Meta Crisis was a one-time legend, and I think that that actually made sense. And I think because obviously he actually said that this is never meant to happen, but we got an explanation about it was because that Donna touched it and she
Yeah.
made it happen. We haven't had an explanation for bi-generation apart from the genetic explosion, as well as causing them to be sterile, may have caused a shift in the virus of regeneration or
not
something.
good
I don't.
topic, like,
That's
expert.
the thing. It's like there's only a certain amount of things that you can expect a fan base to just swallow and accept without explanation. I think when you're messing about with regeneration, which is quite a big part of the show, you don't toy around with that unless it's explained.
Yeah,
I think, do you know what I mean? Like you said, the meta crisis was explained, and it was designed to be a one-off occurrence.
it's like it. I'll tell you what it's like. It's like if they, I don't know, gave the TARDIS a completely different design
Mm.
aside from the police box and didn't say that, oh, I fixed the chameleon circuit.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like if there wasn't a reasonable explanation, or it's like if they made Canine a cat. Why
Mm.
is Canine a cat? Canine dog? Why? Oh, I just thought it'd be funny. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if there was something like that, even a moment like that, if the doctor just went, do you know what, Canine? You've been really pissing me off recently. It's time to downgrade you.
Yeah.
You're turning into Cat Nine.
I
Like,
I can't wait to the day though we get a companion called Petrol.
And then we're gonna have a hooded figure turn around and point to a petrol station, and then they're gonna talk to the parents like, "You named me after a petrol station. You
I
named
find
me
it funny
after a
that they're talking
garage."
about. I just find it funny because like if you want to make jokes about that, then you can't be making jokes if the show's on running on fumes at the moment because
Yeah, you can't say.
Like if it sounds like it needs petrol in the tank at the moment, I'm not gonna lie. And I just kind of sit there and just think like I'm still gonna love the show no matter what. Like I always will, no matter what. And
Yeah.
I will never truly slander anyone involved or anyone a part of it. Like if you're a part of it, you're a part of it. But if you're visually going to be a problem with it, then that's a whole different conversation. Like so to the
I
leakers, to the people who just don't care, please find another job. Like this is a close family community.
can I add one
Iron
thing?
Brew, Marvel or DC. Stay away from Doctor Who. We've had enough over the years.
I'm going to add one thing as well. Like, I have huge respect for Russell because he shows like the passion in writing, he shows the passion in creativity,
Hmm.
he shows the passion in risk taking as well. Though I think what he's now realized is that risk taking also has that other side of if you're doing a risk, it may not end up the way you expect it to.
Yeah.
For example, you have your main lead actor leaving because the Disney deal wasn't renewed on time that you were expecting. Um, and I do think though that he's obviously you needed the Billy reveal, needed that stunt reveal. Um, I will say though, if let's say after the special that he's going to do with Billy, and then you do another season, and it'll feel similar. It's going to be 8 episodes back to where it was in seasons 1 and 2. You didn't learn your lessons when it comes to the criticism that people had for both seasons 1 and 2, and it was 8 episodes isn't enough.
Yeah.
It's
Well, he tried saying that the reason why we're going back to 8 episodes is because that back in 2005, um, they needed 13, and he just felt like the quality of the episodes weren't up to scratch. Like I think that was the thing. He was kind of saying like he felt like some of the episodes that were coming out back in 2005 era out of the 13 were just wasted notions because like they had to give 13 episodes. Dude, I'm sorry. Like you have been bringing back story ideas from 2005 that you weren't able to make at the time because I don't know, the technology was a bit too basic at the time and stuff. This is the opportunity to not decrease your episode count, but to increase it. Like,
yeah, that's what you'd think because the Disney deal, you would automatically think you'd get more episodes,
exactly.
not
You
less.
not let
Um,
no, apparently not.
and apparently though he says like
And yeah.
you've got the 8 episodes, then you've got the war between land and the sea. That's another five. And he said he counts that as like part of the old 13 episodes. So he counts the eight, and then you've got the five. So
What?
technically that's in the same frame of the 13 or more. But I would still prefer the 13 episodes because I feel like the old era of Russell, if you think it's not good enough, this is the perfect time to rethink now because of course 1 and 2 we all know there was going to be you can't take the feedback on because they're filmed one after the other
Yeah.
virtually. So now it's perfect time, and I'm really interested to see when the next official Doctor Who episode will be and what that's going to be like now because the feedback needs to be taken. The feedback needs to be taken really well. Um, the war between land and sea is completely different. I feel like I'm optimistic for that. Um, I'm really optimistic for that one. But for the next episode of Doctor Who, whenever that may be, it's gonna be interesting what it's gonna be like if the feedback is taken on board.
I
You know,
think what I will. Sorry,
oh, sorry, James, go ahead, mate.
as I say, I think what is very clear is that with the criticisms of season one and season two, I think that I would say about 90% of the fan base probably would agree with the fact that the pacing of the episodes have been off most of the time,
Mm.
and there's not been enough time to sort of fully tell the story that they wanted to tell. So, like, I think it's not just like, I don't think it's like a case where it's a little bit debatable of like, what went wrong and stuff like that. I think it's quite clear where it did go wrong. So,
Mm.
I feel like that the next Doctor, or the next series is probably going to be Russell's last chance to sort of really um I'm trying to say this in a really, really nice way.
Triumph over risk.
Yes.
Yeah, I see where you was going with that, dude.
Hmm. Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Lewa? Like sometimes being safe and doing the things that people like is just the best call.
Yeah, but James has brought a new aspect to that whole topic, and it's the whole mother basis of it. And actually, to be honest, James, with you, mate, and I'm going to come back to Mason's original point as well now, actually. So going back to the episode formula, to be honest, quickly, just before I come to James's contrary point, I think what we have just been missing is three more episodes to both series, right? And if those three episodes, I'm not even gonna lie, if they came anywhere in the actual, aside from the season finale, if they were anywhere in between episode 1 to episode 6, right? All I'm just saying is, if they were in the same energy as the three specials that we had, so like one which took form as like an old comic that never happened, so like the Star Beast energy, if we had an episode which honored old writers which never made their stardom, right, that would be cool. Like an episode where it was like an old 60s comic strip or something, like a 70s comic strip which gets brought to life again. That would be really cool. Another episode which is so heavy in sci-fi, like The Wild Blue Yonder, where it was like something palpable to chew on, kind of like Boom or something, like another one, just to throw into that mix. And then before the season finale, we get an episode quite like another classic, not like Sutek or the Toy Maker or anything like that, but something maybe like Autons or,
Mm.
kind of like lesser, I say lesser, but like maybe something like the Mara or maybe like, you
W-
know,
would
the
you want
Zara.
any more Doctor Light episodes in those three episodes?
No, absolutely not. I think a Doctor Light episode should be maximum to between one or two episodes at least a series.
I think
Like,
they
and I
did
mean
too
one
much.
episode which is yeah, I think one episode completely barren with the Doctor is a really good episode idea. Like put the like 73 yards it, put the companion in charge, really test them to their limits. Great notion. That's always been a part of the algorithm and the ingredient recipe list for Doctor Who. But to have another Doctor Light episode, I think it would have to be done like surgery. This one, like, I think it would have to be an episode where it really kind of like, if they were going to go for a timey-wimey aspect to the show, like, make that the episode where the Doctor, the Time Lord, can really affect the rest of the series. So like how like we had Lucky Day was that episode where the Doctor then went ahead in time and then went back to the Robot Revolution. Like if we have an episode where like the Doctor, I don't know, throws themselves into a causal nexus in order to make something happen for the future to happen, maybe that would be a cool, I don't know, something along that line, you know. But I just Doctor Light episodes, they're great for what they are, but they need to be right. Like Blink or 73 Yards, something scary, something to really show a gravitas in the world. No, or something like Turn Left, or something like Turn Left as well. Something to really add a mavitas to a story.
Gravitas.
Mavitas. That's not been
Uh,
explained either.
Well, I
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
think do you know what? That's a brilliant use. Do you know what? If he has to go, do you know what actually? Season 3, I kind of just want to reset everything.
We
That,
we
that
we
kind of
what we should do one time is we all should between between us is that we should try and create our own series.
Oh no, I've just realised, guys. I think we're out of the Mavity days now. I don't think anyone's realised that because the
Mm.
Doctor's put them in a different reality now.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
So maybe this is the reality and gravity is back. Like, oh, that's another plot point that they should have added in there. Like if the Doctor, like while saying goodbye to Belinda, went, I suppose that's the Mavity of the situation. And she goes, Mavity? What's
What's
Mavity?
Mavity? Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
that
he
would have
would
been brilliant.
that would have been a really good moment for him to go, wait, what? And she goes, it's gravity, you idiot. and then like he can look back at the last two series and go, oh my God, none of that happened. Or something. Do you know what I mean? Like something really had like he remembers everything in those realities, but those realities now are not there. They're in a different universe now.
How did the Doctor not fall out the TARDIS when he was regenerating?
That was just
Great, great glutes.
No, no Mavity.
He's been doing his leg days. He's been doing his leg days. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know. I just one other nice little plot point I like to see was loads of people have noticed that that nebula that he was in looks like the dying star, the gas matter from the Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of like that. I think that's quite cool. But all I'm just saying is, I once again I spoke about that, like thinking that the solar psychedelia that affected the Meep was the sun that the Doctor burnt up to say goodbye to Rose.
Oh yeah.
That was one thing that I came up with when the Starbeast came out. I was thinking, I was like, wait, is that about to really link back to early David Tennant years? Like a nice callback because like he was talking about the sun went mad, and I was kind of thinking, I was like, is that a callback to 42? But when I was thinking 42, I was like, no, it's a different sun. And then I thought back to Doomsday, and he goes, I'm burning up an entire sun just to say goodbye. And I was thinking that looks so similar to the solar psychedelia energy.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if they make sense and actually go, if Rose, I don't know, opens her eyes or something in the beginning of the next one and goes mad because of it, and it's the solar psychedelia, and they make it actually link together with the Star Beast and Doomsday, that would be great Who writing. Like I think
Yeah. Personally, I would love it all to go back to Rose. I know I know we all say we want to go to the future, not look in the past, but this is just a rare opportunity that it will never happen again. Like Billy Piper will never do this again.
Mm,
I think it's just a rare opportunity where you can just revisit probably one of the best storylines, probably New Who, probably. I remember when I first watched the Bad Wolf storyline when I was a kid, and I was very mixed about it. It was very confusing, like the whole of series one. Why Bad Wolf? What is Bad Wolf? It was really confusing, and I felt it was kind of answered a little bit, but then it carried on to the 60th, like she's playing Bad Wolf. So maybe this is the third chapter of it. So we got the first chapter with series one. We got the second chapter a little bit with the 50th, and now this is the final chapter.
mm.
Maybe.
Now,
Do you know what would have been nice, right? Would have been just a little bit of a nugget if they were going down the route of weaving together Rose and the Bad Wolf and the Moment. Is just if instead of her going, oh hello, like if she said, oh hello, and she then like if she said that, and then had a thought to herself, and then just went, I'll be here for a moment, and then it went to black, right? The fact that she says a moment, like that gives fans so much more context about where they're going because they go, oh, she's the moment. Okay, that's cool. Like that actually kind of makes gives us some friction as to where they're going with it. But they've been
Yeah.
so enigmatic about it. There's a reason for that. There is an absolute reason for that, and I don't think she's going to be I don't think she's going to be the Doctor.
how would you no? But how would you feel if she is?
I'd be game for it, to be honest with you. Like, I kind of sit there and think to myself, like, if she is, then you need to go back and comment on your previous thoughts about women being the Doctor. But I do kind of just sit there and think, like, yeah, I think Billy's a great actor, and I think, I think she can do the job. Like, I don't think anything wrong. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen I Hate Susie. Everybody Hates Susie. Have you
Oh
seen that?
yeah, I've seen bits of it.
Like when she goes crazy and bananas in that, like I can see like there's Doctor potential in the stuff that she does. Um, not in the Secret Diary of a Cool Girl, that one. I don't
No,
want.
no, don't want that.
No, we don't want her banging Matt Smith again. But all I just say is like she has evolved so much as an actor and a person in the years since her last scene in Doctor Who. So to see Billy Piper 2025, Billy Piper come to the show would be really interesting. But as the Doctor, I would be interested to see it not for a long time, but for a short time. I think she would be a bright and shining short star for the show.
Uh,
Like, do you know what I mean?
like a season.
That's
Yeah,
yeah,
a season at most, but I would be more preferable if it was three specials and a or a special movie kind of thing. And in the time that they're working on that, they can get the 16th Doctor to start working in production for his own stuff, maybe. I don't know. Like, or her, or they, or whatever. But like, I just kind of sit there and think,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to it, I do just kind of sit there and think we've been so risky with the show over the past few years, like trying to break taboos and trying to be progressive. It's no shame in going to a little bit back to your roots at one point. And I
Agree.
just think they're going back to their roots in the wrong ways, calling back on nostalgia baiting and all of
yeah,
that. I think
agree.
just give us I think, do you know what fans would like as well to see? A bit more of a TARDIS, quite like James, as much as your TARDIS is beautiful, I think fans like a little bit more of a personal TARDIS, a little bit more of a condensed. As crazy as it is, Jodie was right. Is a room defined on its bigness? Like kind of like Capaldi's, I think, is the biggest size that is appropriate of a TARDIS. Like that huge one.
Yeah.
It got
15 was wasted. He needed an episode in the TARDIS.
in
Just
it.
just in the TARDIS.
Like the jukebox never got explained. I was expecting like an episode from Maestro to creep out of it and go like ta-da! Like I was expecting like Maestro to creep out of the jukebox at one point and
Yeah.
enslave
It
the
was never
TARDIS.
used, was it?
No, it was never used
It was
apart from
the first time. No, it was used in The Devil's Cord.
yeah.
That's how it kind of started. It was used in. Was it even used when he got in it, like in the giggle? Was it just there, or was it just mentioned?
The David Tennant just goes, oh, jukebox. That's it. Like,
But did you see it turn off? It turned off when 15 went to regenerate, with all the Randalls turning off as well.
I would have probably noticed it more if they used it more. But I noticed that it was a complete blackout on the TARDIS. So yeah, I mean,
Yes.
but I just kind of sit there and think like you're adding it for a reason. Why? Like, and you it turns out it wasn't for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of expecting it to be like if music has come to the world of Doctor Who, like, to the like this was the musical years of Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
To like it was almost just borderline simplistically symbolic, and that was it. Like we'll put a jukebox on the TARDIS to tell you that this is the musical era of Doctor Who, and that's it.
Yeah. It's a shame, and I do hope. I pray. I don't want this TARDIS to go. I mean, if it has been gone, or I don't know, but I just hope whoever, if it is Billy who's in it next, I just hope it stays for a
Do you
while.
know, do
The
you know
way,
what? I
sorry.
think I'm so sorry. I just kind of think keep the interior, but give it actually a paint job
Mm.
or something.
Change
Age
the
it a bit,
colours.
make it look a bit more in between a rustic and it just looks too clean.
You see, I tell you one thing that I really like about it, actually, and I know that this a lot of people might disagree with this. This one here is probably been my favorite TARDIS design in a long time, because for me, the TARDIS should look like a spaceship,
Hmm.
and I feel like this is probably the closest that it look like of a spaceship that it looks, other than maybe Capaldi's. Um, I personally don't like the ones where they look quite they look like someone's living room, like I think Paul McGann's TARDIS potentially, or like Matt Smith's first TARDIS. I feel like there's too much going on. Would like, because especially given the fact that Shooty wasn't supposed to go yet. Well, so we think, and I think we're led to believe that that is the case. Um, and there's going to be a lot more to tie up in his story arc, which is going to have to be continued by someone else. I think it would just be nice for there to be, because we're going to have a lot of unexpected change now. It'd be nice for some things to stay consistent, i.e., the TARDIS, the title sequence, a lot of the music, like maybe just do a slight variation of the Doctor's theme. I think that they need to I think there needs to be some sort of consistency. I think changing too much, especially at a time when it's not expected, can do more harm than good. So I think that yeah, just for at least maybe Billy's tenure, whatever she does, whether it's like one special, two or three, just sort of stabilize the
Yeah.
rest of it.
And
I
you know,
I think we should get the Doomsday theme revamped as like just for Billy for coming back because I think as we're saying like nostalgia bait. I mean, it is what it is. Just she's there. You can't not play it. You've got to play some kind of alteration of it. I think.
All Rose's theme.
Yeah, all Rose's thing.
well, no, I think the Doomsday one actually does because it's got the same melody composition as the Doctor's theme, so it's like
Hmm.
I'm out key there a bit. I've not been doing anything, but obviously the Doctor's is la la. So you can get both of them right, and you can weave that together to make an actual like ultimate bad wolf kind of symphony for the Doctor. I think that'd be quite cool. But
Yeah.
James, just you know what? You're contrary to me saying get rid of the TARDIS. I think you might be right, mate, because I've had a chance to actually examine a bit more of it, looking at that. And do you know what? I think keep it, don't paint it, but upgrade it definitely. So one thing, one thing about the TARDIS that has been upsetting me recently. Now, all I'm just saying, I hope you can see where I'm coming from, right? Tennant's TARDIS, Smith's TARDIS, and Capaldi's and Smith's. Sorry, I just had to think about that. So our ones, so Tennant's and Eccleston's, the time rotor has a lot of action going on there. Like you can always see it visually and viscerally. Smith's one has got that beautiful medicinal kind of jar Russian doll thing on the inside of itself, always going up and down. Now Capaldi's and Smith's here doesn't have a lot of much going stuff on the actual rotor, but the rotor spinner is gorgeous. Like, I'm sorry, the fact that that thing span around in the room while the doctor was contemplating stuff was wonderful. So here's my just suggestion. James, can you shift yourself a little bit to the right? Thank you, darling. That rotor, get rid of it because it just stays there, and I don't like that rotor. It glows green, and that's all it does. I'm sorry, like, give it a proper mechanism on the inside where it's going like, give it a beefing up.
That
That
thing there.
yeah, that the middle unit it needs to have a bit more action going in on the inside, but also that whole monument to that top part there, make it spin.
That's a good idea, actually.
Like
Yeah.
with all of the lights that you've got going on and the way that that does it is beautiful enough. So don't, I'm not saying change the actual shell, don't change the shell, but make the rotor actual spin, please, the top bit, because when the next Doctor or Billy's doing some wonderful pontificating in the TARDIS, to have a traversal walking around the room just would have added a little bit more to that element, I feel.
I feel like the like James's TARDIS or 15th Doctor's TARDIS is very similar to the 10th Doctor's TARDIS in a way.
It-
Um, because like if we look at the 11th Doctor's first TARDIS is very different to any of the others because like you've got this like green bit at the bottom where you can do a lot of work. Like in not episodes, the 11th Doctor was like working at the bottom trying to fix the TARDIS, but in like the 10th and 15th TARDIS, they're very similar. Like they're just going round. You only got one kind of little base, so if anything's gone wrong underneath, it's not that big like it is in the 11th Doctor's TARDIS. So even is the 12th Doctor's TARDIS is very similar. It's just the panels are different. So every in New Who especially, even the 13th Doctor's TARDIS is very similar. That concept of the panels. It's just
Mm.
the 11th Doctor's first TARDIS is so different, and it feels I guess a lot different to what you usually get. It's almost like you got a little playground at the bottom of your TARDIS, and then at the top it's just the same as everyone else's.
You see, to
Yeah,
me, sorry.
no, go for it, dude.
You see, to me, I look at Matt Smith's TARDIS and I just look at it and I just think that does not look like a spaceship. Like, I what I
Soft play.
what I like about like 15's TARDIS and 10's TARDIS is that it looks like a spaceship and it's quite simple. There's not too much going on, it's and also the round things. That is absolutely essential. Um, you know, I you know, I like the simplicity of
Do
do you
we?
know what I mean?
Do you feel though 15th TARDIS is too bright and too white? Do you think it's too, or would you like that about it?
I don't mind it. I don't think it should be like that all the time. I think that it was a very good idea to have the roundels change colour at a time when they want to, and I think maybe that's something they just need to utilize a bit more. Like maybe like Billy when she's in the TARDIS can have like her own colour theme going on. I don't know, but I feel like that's one way you can fix that quite easily.
It lets
Yeah,
as well. Like if you, there's a huge space, and your legs are going to get tired.
Mm.
Where are you going to sit down?
yeah. I I just I was just hoping with the 15th Doctor that he would get a TARDIS, a bit like Matt Smith, like doing the Ascent of the TARDIS, where it was
Mm,
just in the TARDIS, and it was a perfect TARDIS hero for it because they're so big, it's so massive, and he's only ever in the middle bit really.
mm,
He wasn't in much else. Like
Mm.
like it just showed 14 showed how big it was when he ran around it for the first time, and you'd think 15 as it's a new incarnation and it's separate to 14's body, he would want to do that too, like just run around, mess around in it. I just feel like what Jack said, we were robbed. We were robbed of that in general. I think like if I was the showrunner or if I was a thinker in my own mind, if I was writing it, I would want that as one of the first episodes, just to run around the TARDIS and just have an episode in there. I think it would start if it's still there. I would love Billy or whoever the 16th Doctor is to do that.
mm, yeah.
Yeah. Um. But yeah. So, does anyone else have any final thoughts about anything before we finish?
Well, one thing. Do we think Doctor Who will be back in 2027, or do you think any earlier?
Uh, Potentially. I feel like if it's not 2027, maybe Christmas 2026.
I think that I mean, if I'm right in thinking that with Billy Piper we're just going to get either a special or a couple of specials, I think that we will get that no later than Christmas 2026. I don't think they'll spend too long on that. I don't think they need to. But as in a proper series, a full series, yeah, 2027.
I would rather that series comes out in the autumn as well.
Yeah. I do kind of think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get like a little minisode for children in need or something, or maybe like they might release one just online or iPlayer just to give us some little thing for the.
Clarity, or
Yeah.
just something, just even if it's Russell having a video when he says, "This is your spoiler warning." He just needs to do like a video basically saying, "Welcome, Billy Piper, to Doctor Who. It's great to have you back again. But who you shall find out in this year." Do you get what I
Well,
mean?
well, that's the thing. I think hopefully tomorrow. It's tomorrow, isn't it, when we get the Unleashed?
Officially now, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, is it midnight tonight? Is it midnight now?
yeah.
Midnight, baby! Sorry.
Hey.
um, bullet to industry! Huzzah! But I find you've entered my witching hour now. This is where I get a bit cuckoo. But I find that I kind of do just want to leave because obviously we've picked it apart in some negatives as well. And I think just to end it off on the point, like conclusion of we wish Ncuti Gatwa all the best. We love him no matter what. We love RTD no matter what. We love the production office no matter what. This has been a very big lesson to learn. not just for the Whovians, but also for the production office in many different ways. And I hope that the issues have concluded now. Everything is, I'm sure RTD is probably, I don't know, probably smoking a 40 pack a day in his dungeon, like typing away, going like, I need to get this right. I need to get this. Probably he's stressing out. He's probably stressing out right now. So to that, obviously, all we can say is we still love the show no matter what, and we just hope that the future will be bold and bright and confident, and will not have any quakes along the way. So all I can wish is to that is please make sure whoever comes after Billy Piper make sure that they have just as much dedication to the show as Billy Piper does herself. Because I can guarantee you, Billy Piper, I mean, she might only be there for a short time, right? She'll be there for a short time, but fun time. But I can guarantee you, if they gave her the opportunity and said 4 years, she'd go 4 years. I know she would, no matter what. She like her relationship with RTD is beautiful, but also her relationship with Doctor Who is probably as symbiotic as the fandom is to the show.
Mm.
It's
She knows how much it means to people.
exactly. So if the show demanded some or demanded, if the show asked for her loyalty, they would get it. No matter what. It's an ineffable question. So I think just in the next whoever is the 16th after the Rose Tyler Doctor, just and I don't mean this in a bad way, but just really give them the Who trivia questions before. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying because I
L-
remember seeing. I'm so sorry, Mason. I'm so sorry, but I do remember seeing a quick interview with Shooty and Varda, right? And they got asked the question, "Is this true or false?" Andrew Garfield starred in an episode involving the Daleks in Manhattan,
Where did it go wrong?
and they both said false very quickly. And I kind of sat there and thought to myself, no, no. So you've been told to watch a certain amount of episodes, which is fine. You've done your research. You've done your research, the same as any performer does for any job, anywhere. That doesn't show respect. Like I think to be honest with you now, Doctor Who has entered the timeline in its age as a show that it cannot just be bringing in people who want to do it because they can. I think
Yeah.
that was a time back in the 60s. I think, as weird as it sounds, like, if John Pertwee, say for instance, didn't know what Doctor Who was at the time because it was so new, he would have just gone, "Oh yes, absolutely, I'll do it. I'll do it. Of course, it's a children's show. I love entertaining. I was literally worse than Gummidge. I have you know, I'll do it. I'll happily do it." Because the dynasty of the Doctor wasn't as big as the time. It was a huge sensation at the time, but it didn't have the legend of the Doctor behind it. 60 years of stories and generations of children being taught and inspired. We are now at a point where performers cannot be a risk for the show. And I mean that with the utmost respect and love for any performer who has come and gone. And if they've left on their own accord, or if they've left because they've been fired, or if they've left because it's just their time, great. But be confident in your choices for the future. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I feel like we've broken the three-season curse now, for two. I think this is the perfect opportunity to break it again,
Yeah.
to go for one more fall. So I think that's perfect. And I think whatever we think about Bailey Piper's casting, as it's the most, the reality was the most controversial episode probably since the time of children, probably.
Yeah.
And I feel like whatever people say, um, you just know, like Lewis said, Billy Piper's going to be committed for as long as they need her. Like, if it's a season, if it's more, if she is the Doctor, we have to get used to it. Like, it's like everyone's not going to know, but if she's not the Doctor, fine. So, like we said, we just want some clarity on the whole situation. I don't mind having a mystery about who Billy Piper's playing. I don't mind that, but we just want the clarity of what's going to happen.
Mm.
Like, if what's she going to do? So I feel like we need that soon because said after series two, the announcement's going to be made. So I think we should expect that soon.
Can I
Hopefully.
just add one thing about Billy? 3 years ago, she did make a comment about, would you ever like, bear in mind, it was in the Doctor Who universe, and it was during a time where Jodie Whittaker was in her final like 2 or 3 episodes, and the 60th was just being filmed. So it was in that period. And obviously, if press asked her, would you ever do a spin-off as Rose Tyler? And she said, "Oh, I'd love to, but I would restrict it. I would make sure it's a like I think it's like 4 or 5 episode run. I don't know if she said that, but I'd keep it in London. If it's not in London, I'm really sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah, those are going to all be London based, I feel.
If what you're saying, Laura, is true, like she will do as much as she can. I don't think she'd travel.
No, I don't think. I mean, they've got her dedication for the role, but I mean, I think it's the idea of obviously if they're keeping it in London, then they can really work with maybe a special or something, doing it
Yeah.
there. But a whole series,
Special or two. I
yeah.
think that's a great
I
way.
do I do think though, Doctor Who just needs to move around. We don't need it all to be in Wales all the time. I think it's nice, right? We all go to Wales and say, oh, we're going to Doctor Who locations, but I feel like it's good for the show to not always be in one location. And I know Bad Wolf is there, but it would be nice for that to happen.
All I'm saying is going to that point, Mace, right? Is I find it will be a travesty for the war between the land and the sea if they didn't film a scene of it at Cromer.
Yeah,
Like if they didn't use Cromer up in Norwich, because that is the famous historic place where the Sea Devils first made their debut. If they don't use it because they didn't use it for the Legend of the Sea Devils, and that was a wasted opportunity. I mean, they was filming in Sheffield at the time. It's not too far. I just kind of sit there and think, like, use your noggin. Like, make it worth the while. If you're making an episode about Sea Devils, film it where they originally came back as a little behind the scenes nod. People love that stuff. But I do have one quick question for you boys. Just a fun question, right? Okay, because we've not thought about this. We've not thought about this, have we? One
Nope.
question. Who is her companion going to be? No, that's not my question. That's not what my question is, right? Because it could be anyone. It could be anyone, right? Or it might not even be anyone. Maybe might be canine or something. Who knows? Or might be no one. But if it was going to be someone, right? And obviously it can't be anyone in the Whoniverse, and I say this now. So it has to be someone related to Rose Tyler, right? So out of everyone that Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant with his time of Billy Piper met, right? In all of those episodes, if there was one person to bring back to be her companion, who would you want it to be and why? Because my personal choice is if she rocked up back in London in 2012, found the council van guy, is it Kev or something? And you go, I'm reporting
Kev.
you to the council. Make him the companion, please. Like,
I
sees
was
Daleks.
actually going to. I was going to make a suggestion, but then you said about going back to Rose Tyler's original time.
Who did you have in mind?
Before you said that, I thought it's time to give Rose Noble a bigger role.
Rose and Rose.
I think Rose needs to be kind of put on ice now for a while because loads of people have just complained, just going like, you put her in all of it just for exposure. Like I think they need to like. Oh, okay.
Need to go now, so I'll
It's
love
okay.
you,
Now.
leave you guys. Okay,
Love you,
Okay.
dude. Take care.
see ya.
See you, my
Um,
man.
I do just kind of sit there and think like I love Yasmin Finney, right? Like I do like my mate from uni. He like was very good friends and they studied together before they went to unis and whatever. And I just kind of sit there and think to myself like if you're a performer for anything, but you're just there for the hell of it,
Yeah.
you've oversaturated your time and worth on
Because
the
she,
show.
because she, in reality war, she just suddenly appears.
Like, oh, reality war, yeah, she's doing
Yeah.
that. But in the Empire of Death, pressing a tablet, it's like
Yeah.
that's that you've she's on a salary, man. She's on a salary. You're paying her to be the kid playing on an iPad. Give that to an extra. She
Yeah.
costs a lot. She costs a lot to hire. I'm just saying that now. Well, not as compared to like a lot of other celebrities, but she's a main arcal character. So the fact that she's appearing in these things means that she gets a good payback. And it's kind of like, but she stood in just in the background and just did nothing.
But I have to admit, a lot of people in Reality War did the same. Um,
Yeah, yeah, Bonnie Langford, bless her heart, right? Because the thing is, right, she loves her inclusion with Doctor Who nowadays, and I remember people saying, like, she even said, "I love the change that Mel's had because back in the old years, she just used to run around screaming." And it's like, yeah, okay, I get you there. You've been given a lot more dialogue and a lot more moments with the Doctor, but you've not been given enough.
No.
Like,
do you know who I think they should get in?
who?
I would adore it. So if you said a companion to go with Rose,
Yeah,
I would choose the one person that every episode, regardless of what opinions are on it, that she adores it every week. Katie Manning. I feel like
yeah,
she had. They've got to get her in because she's just so positive about the show all the time. And I think even sometimes horrible people comment on her things and she just doesn't care. So I feel like she earned her comeback or just her appearance. I feel like she just needs to be there. And I think she's admittedly said that she would come for like a short stint or a cameo.
yeah.
She wouldn't come back full time, but I feel like that would be nice for her to do that at some point.
Do you know what would be? I think would be uh, quite a nice little trope. It would be for whatever if it was a special, right? For Billy Piper, make Joe Grant and Melanie the companions.
Yeah.
Just bring them into
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that would just be a no-brainer actually at the end of it. Or maybe Camille Kajuri or something. Like
Like, do you think she'll come back because Rose is back?
she's
Spider.
definitely involved. She's definitely involved because RTD and her have been hanging out a lot recently.
Oh yeah, she 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 went to some. Russell went to her birthday party.
Went to the birthday party and they both attended Gallifrey Cabaret recently as well.
Yeah, but that was all before. If she only done it in April, that was before, like before then.
Yeah, no, it was it. So the Gallifrey Cabaret was in between series one and series two, but it was done at the point where series two had finished filming. So he might have just been mingling with her, getting ready to start filming for whatever they was filming
Yeah.
then. So could be a little Camille Kajuri cameo maybe, and I'd love that. Like, do you know what would be incredible? Like as you say, going back to that moment when Jackie's like, "You'll just be a face, like stood in the market square, like no one will recognize you." But could you imagine how pissed off Jackie Tyler would be knowing that the Doctor is taking Rose Tyler's face?
I
Right.
need to see
But
that.
do you know what I want to see? I'll tell you what I want to see.
What?
I I I want Rose actual Tyler to
Yeah,
turn up with Jackie, and then they say Rose actually the face as a doctor. So you've got two Roses. You've
I
got
think
the
that would
actual
be.
Rose, then the Doctor Rose.
I think that would be a very cool. Like, I think that would have to be a short moment, maybe a short scene with the real Rose. I don't think Billy could potentially keep it going, sustaining that dynamic for too long between them. I think the cracks would start to show between Billy's older stuff and her newer stuff. But I do like to see that. But I tell you what would be bloody good to see is if Jackie noticed, right, and she and like Rose was like the doctor's like obviously going, "No, it's me. I'm the doctor. I'm not Rose. Why do you keep calling me Rose? What is this?" And sees her reflection in that moment and goes, no, realizes what's wrong. And then Jackie goes, listen, there were times when my daughter really pissed me off, but I never would hit her because she's my daughter. But you're not my
Oh,
daughter.
oh,
Stitch this, mate.
oh,
Slaps Rose.
oh.
Like,
But what about if we get a what was it called? What's that Christmas special called? With Catherine Tate in it.
The
uh,
Runaway Bride.
Yeah, the Runaway Bride. We get a Runaway Bride moment where Rose is actually like Catherine Tate was. Rose is taken, then actually implemented into the regeneration. So that is actually Rose Tyler, as the Doctor, but it's Rose Tyler in the Doctor's body, but it's actually Rose Tyler, not the Doctor.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm really hoping it's going to be like. She's tapped into and interrupted somehow, like a spatial distortion.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm hoping it's going to be, and
But
it's down to her to bring the Doctor home.
but it's almost like from what she said, it's almost like from what she said that she knows what's going on because she says, "Oh, hello,"
Mm.
and like fourth breaking the audience, and that's something that we've never really understood because Miss Flood done it, even the Doctor's done it.
Yeah, but one thing about Billie Piper. So she did something very different compared to every other Doctor. I'm calling her a Doctor already. She's not a Doctor yet. We haven't had the confirmation. But if this is supplanting to the idea that it's Rose Tyler, right? Rose Tyler did. Billie Piper did something very different compared to the doctors who regenerate, right? Because doctors who regenerate, they regenerate like they're looking up and then they just like that. Like they kind of go like, what was that? Like they kind of have a little moment to themselves. But for her, the regeneration started and she's like looking around already, like kind of like she was in a room or something, and like she was like it was she was arriving to a destination. The doctors, they just kind of snap in, like they kind of like
Yeah.
they just happen. But she was, if you watch that moment when she's changing from Shooty, it's almost as if it was like a planned destination. Like she's kind of like, oh hello, like kind of it was that was the intention. Like I just think
It
there's something
has to
very
be.
is something so dodgy about that regeneration, and I don't mean that in a practical VFX manner. I mean, well done to you guys, but I mean it was intended to be done like that, and
Yeah,
that's
because like Russell commented on Billy Parker's post saying Rose is always a Rose. So that if that's implementing that, that surely that is going to be Rose.
well, one thing that nobody's picked up on, and I noticed this, right? Okay, because so the casting director for Doctor Who is called Andy Pryor, and he when RTD put that post up about Billy in her chair, Andy Pryor commented, oops, with a love heart. So obviously, RTD would have been involved with Billy Piper about coming back to the show, but obviously Andy Pryor is the casting agent who would have really pushed and made this bridge definitely a reality. Like he would have been working alongside with Billy's agents, making sure that this is all sorted and safe. So if he knows, I've just noticed his name is Andrew. I don't think it's him. Andy's been doing the casting since 2005.
Yeah, but
So
he might have got bored. He might have got bored.
he got bored. Maybe, but I think he's honourable because he's very good friends and very dear friends with the Bad Wolf production team. So I think they've got his trust and secrecy. But I do find it strange that he commented oops like it was a mistake. Like the regeneration itself was a mistake. Like this wasn't meant to happen. So I think we've got confirmation there that it's not a genuine doctor.
So it's 14 all over again, basically, then,
It-
if it was a mistake.
well, no, because
Well, even
he was
14 was recognised as a doctor.
he is a doctor. Even when he got the announcement, Andy Pryor, I think I remember commenting saying like "Welcome back" or something. Like he commented that, but it's the fact in this one he's gone "Oops," as in this is a casting mistake or something. But obviously he would have been involved with RTD and Billy about getting it sorted, so it's a narrative mistake. It's an actual storyline mistake that the Doctor has regenerated into the form of Rose Tyler. So I don't think it's the Doctor. I think she will be the harbinger to the Doctor.
Do you
Hmm.
think, like, one last question before we go, do you think whoever's going to be after Billy, or if there is going to be someone after Billy, do you think they would know about that yet, or do you think they're in the process of doing it?
I think they're
I
very.
definitely know yet.
You think they know?
No, I think they're in there now. Look, then in the selection process.
Yeah, I think you're bang on the money there, James. I think they're just broadening their horizons to go, should we start looking?
Yeah.
Because that's they've got Billy. You okay? Ah, hello.
How many times has it done that? It's like because we got the TARDIS filters, it's maybe glitching me out every time.
But I'll wrap off on my points, and I will end off on the point. I'm excited. I'm confused, and that's it.
I'm excited and a little bit nervous at the same time.
Yeah, I'm I'm excited. I am optimistic that this is the last straw in the line because this is the third time lucky. Let's say we've had a
Mm.
first try, we've had a second try. There's been good episodes, but this is it, right? This is
This-
where it needs to deliver now. The war between the lands and the sea, that's good. That's very good for the show. I personally feel like that's going to be a love story, kind of thing, Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. Um, but yeah, so if this is what we think it is, which it probably isn't. We've said this all series, and like we've wanted the Trickster to come back, which I feel like you would think the Trickster would because tricks, like the doctors keep mentioning the word tricks all the time. But I'm optimistic, and fingers crossed we get an announcement soon, and we know what the future's going to be like.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah, but
Exciting.
right, but to anyone seeing this episode, we hope you enjoy it. There will be more episodes coming up. Hopefully there's going to be one with someone actually appeared in one of the episodes, um, in the latest series, at some point. I hope to get as many as I can, to interview people on the show because it's always nice talking to people who have been on it and they can tell about their experiences. It's always a good opportunity, but I think soon we're gonna create a name for this. I feel like Lewa said a good name earlier, but we'll choose between us what we think we should call it, and then because I want us to come back and do like rankings of different stuff, kind of by the time until Doctor Who's back on.
I do have one more suggestion for a name.
What is it?
Now, it's an idea of a word as well that I've mentioned it to RTD as well. He liked it. He liked the notion. Because I also commented it on Jane Tranter's as well, and she liked it as well, and she was like, love it. And I just said, I'm in an utter state of euphoria.
Oh,
Oh,
Euphoria.
that's nice. That I like that.
that's
Like,
a good one.
should we call ourselves Euphoria?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, come
That's
on,
Euphoria.
whacking suggestions as well. But
well.
until then,
Yeah, we'll come up with a few, and then between us, by the time we next all do one together, we'll have a name and we'll get a logo made.
also,
Um,
mate, can you stop leaving your screwdrivers in my TARDIS, please? Getting too much now. I'm having enough. I'm finding these in places that I don't even want to be finding them.
well, mine
I
is
don't even have a proper screwdriver in mine. I
yeah.
have a remote.
Yeah, I've got the remote here.
Wait, why are you doing? Wait, why have you got his one?
Hey, give it back.
Which one do you want? That one or that one?
Uh, hang on. The blue one.
All right, here you go.
Thank you.
No, but the thing is, Lou, why have you got that sonic screwdriver and that TARDIS?
This is actually in between the doctor's wife. I'm in the memory room.
Oh, it looks
That was
very.
that was a weak grab, but that was a weak grab. No, my Sonic is currently in the bedroom.
Oh.
Sounds weird the way I said that. No,
What with Ooh Gordon?
it's no Gordon's on like a mantelpiece in the main room. But the Sonic is on a
Where's your
display.
weeping angel you was talking about?
The Weeping Angel is still wrapped up and safe at the moment because I'm working on the wall's not behind me, I've just realized. Um, on the wall behind me, I'm having to make some custom mount points. So when we next talk, hopefully, there's going to be some angel arms creeping out of behind me, out of the wall. And I've also ordered a 3D printed Weeping Angel face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match and spray that so it matches the color of the arms. So what you'll have behind me is the face of the angel and the arms emanating out of the wall. Um, and I want to kind of add some like rubble effect around the wall to make it look like it's breaking out, like in the Village of the Angels.
Mm.
So that's going to be quite cool.
Yeah,
But until then, they're safely wrapped up, and they are in my room in a bulletproof box kind of thing.
that's really cool actually. That yeah, that's brilliant. But yeah, to anyone watching this, if you've stayed this long, good on you. But um, but yeah, we'll be back next time whenever there's a podcast episode. But next time when we're all going to be back together will be probably when we're going to be ranking the all the finales. I want us to rank all the finales together, and then we'll talk about each of them in that into depth. And yeah, and then from that we'll be ranking each series. We'll start from series one, then go up and up and up, and do different things like that. But yeah, thanks to anyone watching, and see you next time.